Evening, everyone. We are now live. Ooh. Something happened there. I hope everyone is well. We're trying something different for the stream today, which is why we're a little bit late. We've been testing it out. Been having the usual Sunday evening internet gremlins, but actually it's not disastrous at the moment. We will see. Hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully we can hear Andy in the party. Andy, I saw you just joined the party there.
Oh, yes, that was weird. I joined the party before the stream started.
Right, I'm going to have to bump up. Oh yeah, I know what I need to do. Bear with me.
Nice.
Unfortunately, we've got to kill the music. Because I can turn off my PC monitoring. Right, got a bit of background noise. Do I have a stream? Has one of us got a stream up, Andy?
Oh, yeah, sorry. That's... Yep, there you go.
Otherwise, we'll
muted on my end.
We'll just hear me forever.
I'm KRT Shadow Realm.
Okay.
Baz.
Let me just get the lobby up. It's A and B really, or B and C today. Okay. I've been wondering whether my lights contribute to my internet being less than it should be. I'm trying all the troubleshooting, so I haven't turned the pedal cam lights on. Apology, pedal cam enthusiasts. Right, we'll start at Laguna Seca. Let me just put in these settings. This should be a classic race B, actually. Great Falls around Laguna Seca. So let me get this right for the moment. All the usual stuff here. I think that's fine. I'll just catch up with the chat in a second and we'll just get this up and running. Okay, there we go. So, evening AA Pace and Melos. I remember we were racing at Le Mans a couple of weeks ago. Some very good racing there. That was a good Sunday lobby practice. If only to realise that. Actually, was that a Sunday lobby practice? Was that an FIA practice? I can't remember. Evening Barry. Yes, late as usual. That is becoming my forte. It's not really a forte. Andy's in the party chat. Evening Sophie. Evening Issa. Evening Al. Evening Ethan. Ethan's recently served a one race ban. Evening Rex Blackstream. Steve. Dodge Gomez. Dodge Gomez, his voice is very low. Is that Andy's voice? If so, I know what to do. I will... Bear with me a second.
Yeah, I can say something else. I could probably just talk a bit louder. It's just trying to make sure that I'm not interrupting you when you're talking.
I don't have anything important to say anyway. Let me just lower my microphone down a little bit. There we go. That. We should be close now. I'm just going into the orange bit on my streaming software. Oh, did I not make this a friends lobby? Whoops. I'm going to exit this one and make it friends only. My bad.
Yeah, no, that works. I'm going to go and buy the Group 1 car as well.
Good evening, ladies.
Apologies, everyone joining. Got someone else in the chat.
We've got Barry.
Introduce yourself, Barry.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Barry. I am your friendly KRT Cheng 68.
So, Barry, you're going to be dishing out all the tips for us to...
Yeah. Now I'm going to sit and just analyse and just watch. Technically, watch yourself punt people into Narnia. maybe give you some brake bias, diagnostics.
That's what I'd like to hear. So there's going to be no escaping from penalties today, because Barry's going to be keeping a watchful eye. I think, Barry, the only time I've ever been banned is I I think I punted you too many times, and I had to self-ban myself, if I remember correctly.
And Inter as well. Huh?
Yeah. What am I doing here? Where is Laguna Seca?
So, considering we're chatting, how was karting yesterday? Apart from a bit wet.
It was very, very, very wet. It's the wettest in. I haven't been doing Club 100 on and off for 10 years, but in the 10 years since I started doing Club 100, it is the wettest it's ever been. And it was so wet they actually had to red flag the race because there was aquaplaning down the straight. What am I doing? I need to load some up. There was aquaplaning down the straight. So they red flagged the session for a little bit. They had to get the pumps out. They were pumping water off the track. And eventually they let us back out. And I posted a short video of what it was like. And it was kind of actually glorious. You know that glorious weather where it's sunny after it's been raining a lot. And you have rainbows and the sun was kind of low in the sky. And it was almost like magical karting. Because I think we all assumed it would be called off the day. And we were all kind of ready to go home. But in the end, it turned out to be some of those memorable karting I can ever remember. So yeah, Roswell did very well. I think Roswell finished 5th. I wasn't quite so high.
Yeah, Roswell. Yeah, because I mean, Roswell was saying to me that you race together quite often, and he does have a tendency of managing to lap you.
He lapped me in the first race. I didn't get lapped by Roswell in the second race. I think we're about 50-50 in the race this season where Roswell's lapped me. So if next season I can get that down to 25%, I'll definitely have made some progress. It's a good check for me on what lap I see Roswell actually blowing past me. But yeah, very, very, very fast drive Roswell. Maybe we'll see Roswell tonight in the lobby. And Roswell.
I was.
Go on, Barry.
I mean, I got to admit, because I mean, I was watching Roswell this afternoon on his live stream. I have to say, I mean, he is quick.
Yeah,
he is quick.
I think he's got a lot of headroom when it comes to car control. So, in real life, when conditions become very difficult, he really shines. I think it's the same on GT Sport when it's hard tyres and stuff like that, and there's not a lot of grip. And Roswell is very good at finding grip.
I mean, that's why when you had your interview with I think his name was Hugh.
Yeah.
That live stream. I asked you the question about how does it feel transferring from live karting to GT Sport. Obviously it helps quite a lot to understand how tyres behave, how the vehicles behave under different circumstances.
Yeah. I'd say even when you hear Formula 1 drivers speak, they always talk about, there's nothing like karting. But in a way, so here we're going to drive Group 4 cars around, which are proper race cars and lots of power. And when you bring it down to a karting level, there's not actually a lot of moving parts in the kart. It's very simple to operate, and you really go down to the basics of how late can you brake. How many apexes can you hit and that kind of stuff.
It's the case of just carrying as much speed as possible because the kart is so low to the ground. I mean, I actually did it. We did it for a day. It was about a 40-minute drive from Prague.
Yeah.
The weather was overcast, and I've never done karting before. Never ever done it, and I'll tell you now, it's tiring.
Yeah.
It is really, really tiring. I mean, the amount of G-force that when you've never done it before, and you've been racing Gran Turismo 6, then you try and transfer that into go-karting. Yeah, that was a completely different kettle of fish.
Yeah,
completely different.
It reminds me a little bit of football sometimes. So when you're watching football on TV, you can sometimes think, the players have so much time. Why couldn't they have, threaded that through ball? Why couldn't they have placed that shot in the corner? But when you go down to five-a-side pitch and you play football, suddenly you have no time. And then, if you were to watch yourself back playing five-a-side, you see your passes were all over the shop and you never hit the target. It's a bit like that with karting. It's kind of GT Sport is a bit like watching football on TV, in that you kind of have the time and it doesn't feel super fast. I think when you're used to it, when you go in a car and you have all those G-forces and you have the sensation, then again it's kind of, I don't know if it's natural talent or your instincts really come to the fore. So
Definitely.
it's very interesting to see.
Definitely. I mean, with GT Sport, I've only been driving it for the last 2 years. So I was one of these latecomers, and when I started, I didn't understand much about the daily races, the DR, the SR, until about 6 months later.
Yep.
And then it was then I actually began to understand more about racing itself, the etiquette, the cleanliness. But there's just so much that you can learn, and yet even when you think you've learned something, you're still learning.
Yeah.
And then when you come across these aliens, as they like to call themselves, I mean, they're like the professional football players. They make it look so easy.
Yeah.
And yet, when you've been watching them for so long, and then you try and transfer what you want to do and to try and keep up with them, that is pure talent, as far as I can see. They have something that we just will not have.
So I
might have.
I think that's very interesting, because I think there's a lot of drivers, who may be watching the stream or in the lobby, who will look up to you and think, well, how can Barry be so fast around the track? So I always see it as a kind of ladder, and there's always more rungs to go on the ladder. But I don't know. The way you look up to the aliens, if you keep climbing those rungs, you end up getting a bit closer. I think natural talent helps you climb those rungs faster. Maybe there's a big debate about the kind of correlation between practice and natural talent. But it is interesting to hear you talk about the aliens like that, and I feel the same way when I'm racing with Ruswood and Nathan. But again, you're an A+ driver, and there's lots of people who think, well, how can Barry carry so much speed through the corner? And probably when you started, you couldn't. But just by the process of getting faster, I think it's a lot of trial and error, but also sometimes you need to really nail a corner, and then I don't know if you're the same way, something clicks in your mind, you think, right, that's the way to do it. For me, it's often taking a kind of corner slower and seeing the delta, shaving off those tenths of a second. It's very, very interesting because it is ladder.
And even then, even when you have these daily races with the qualification, time trial, etc., and of course, I jump in on a Monday morning, and I try to beat the guys that are already in the early morning top 10 quali times, and yet I can get into the top 10, and by the afternoon, you look again and you see that you're something like 2 seconds slower, and you're going, how the hell did they do that?
Yeah.
Because that you've gone around that track as fast as you possibly can, but then you notice the car that they've chosen is completely different to the car that you've chosen. So then you think, okay, I'll try that car, and then you actually realise that you can actually go a second faster.
Yeah.
So there's that concept as well. But yet, finding that 1 second is like trying to find 10 kilometers.
The only moment where I've really, because I often think the same thing when I finish a lap and it's my best lap and the Ghost is miles and miles ahead of the top 10. The only time where I've ever thought, oh, hang on, I'm basically with the top 10 is the lap I did for Seaside last week when Treviso gave us that tip.
I mean, to see you do that, I have to admit, I was a little envious, but. No, I was. No, honestly, yeah. because I know that I'm a little bit quicker than you, maybe during some races, but your experience with the TT is better than mine. So of course, I did my time trial with the NSX. So then I changed to the Titty, and of course, my time had actually increased by 300ths of a second. But still, even if I was to try and find that extra time that you gained, I have no idea where I can get that time to. Yeah. But of course, my problem is I know where my problem is I do not use top 10 upload the video.
The GIF,
Or upload their GIFs,
the ghost,
sorry.
yeah.
Exactly. But no, I mean, to see you in the top 10 for the fastest laps, I mean, you know, take my hat off and fair play to you.
The funny thing
again, this week we've got...
Funny thing, Barry, is you're saying about, you know, I think you're very, very quick in the NSX. I can't drive the NSX, and it's just so happened for that quality, you know, the TT was a viable car. But I think it was the week before, we did a time trial session, and I think Steve had done a lap time that was just under it was a second. It was like a 1:43.9 or something, and I was doing a 1:44.2 or something like that. And Steve is very, very good in the RCZ. He is always in the RCZ. If he's in tonight, he's in the RCZ. I can't remember if we went through.
Oh, is this Inter?
Evening, chaps.
Yeah, and I could not get closer.
It last night.
Yeah.
Oh, I was the same. It was the same last night because we joined Shadow's lobby. So of course we were on Seaside, and of course Inter was in the RCZ, and I mean, I just could not catch him. I could get close to him. I mean, I was something like a car length behind him. What's that about? 2/10 of a second, but that was the closest I could get to him.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, where is he getting that speed from? Because through the S section, Jesus Christ, I mean, now normally an FF through the S section would have been a lot slower.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's my daughter. No, I'm talking.
I think someone else joined the party as well. We've got a new person in the party. Oh, we've got 2 new people in the party. Is your daughter racing, Barry?
She tries to. I mean, she tried Dirt Rally for a little bit, and I mean, she can steer.
Good stuff. Probably a lot better than I was at that age.
Somebody here.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. I think Steve.
Yeah. So what about
Barry? Speaking of the devil, I think Steve is in the party as well.
Evening.
Just speaking
Hello,
about Steve.
Yeah, Steve.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Yeah. Just one question.
Yes, mate.
Where the hell did you find that speed in that RCZ last night?
Not quite sure sometimes. Yeah, no, I've just got used to it, I think. It's not the greatest.
I mean, it took me 2 races just to get 2/10 behind you, and I mean, when we went for the chicken, I mean, I just clanged the exit wall, and that was it. It was race over.
Yeah,
but
I think
I still
the
don't
first
think.
I think the first race, yeah, I think they had you on toast a little bit there, but by the second race, you'd really caught on to my tails. You'd really sort of hammered onto what I was doing and really put me under pressure. And through their messes,
that's what I like to try and do.
Yeah, through their messes, I mean, I was on the ragged edge, and I think you must have just caught my dirty air, because I was so close to that barrier. I was surprised I didn't hit it either.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I mean, I can normally deal with dirty air, especially in the NSX, because it actually deals with the cornering really, really well.
Yeah.
But of course, you've got to capture the apex and straighten the car as quickly as possible, and then get the exit to get the speed through the S chicane. But the speed that you were carrying was just, I've never seen it in an FF. Never. So no, fair play to you.
Well, I think we'll crack on with the race, guys. I haven't even done a lap. Doesn't matter. Let's do a 3-lap race. Sorry, anyone in the chat. I'm just hopefully the quality is decent. We'll see. We'll find out. Right, let's do this. This could be interesting, guys, with party chat on for any punting. That may or may not happen. Me and Steve.
Well, I mean, again, we got this daily race B, and is Laguna Seca. I mean, so it's the case of how well are the FRs going to do, and how fast the MR is going to do. But again, it's favouring the FFs. I feel
it is a bit surprising that every time they do a Group 4 race, that's not a daily race C, or even last time was daily race C, the FFs always dominate. It is a bit surprising they haven't done something about that. But we will see.
I find it quite annoying, really, because I'm actually finding the FFs. Well, in fact, GT Sport actually putting the FFs in the category of the GT4.
Yeah.
GR4, because they're just completely dominating, and it just seems to favour those who decide to go with the Audi in the FIA manufacturers, and then of course it favours many of the races with the TT.
Definitely gone with Audi this season. Maybe next season.
Yeah, but the problem is, one word of warning. The Audi R8. I mean, I test drove it last night on Maggiore, and I'll tell you now, it was awful.
Sorry, Barry. Let me just thanks Rory for the for dropping in.
Okay.
Rory had an amazing stream the other day where he was doing FIA in the McLaren, I believe. Actually, phenomenal stream. One of the best streams I've ever seen. I don't know what Rory's views are about the FF domination. We'll find out today, I guess. Who's in? So Andy's gone for the Viper. McFlurry's also in the Viper, I believe.
For the Viper, I thought that Tidgney did a thing on the BOP of classes, and there's no way to. I think isn't Group 4 the hardest group because of all the different cars and tracks to do of the combination, and then there's no way for them to fix the BOP issue with FF cars because
no, definitely.
Just because of the combinations.
And the fact that the body weight is a lot lighter. Yeah, it's very complicated.
Yeah, we'll see what they do with the classes then for GT7. I'm sure they will have to fix it, because I know a lot of people don't like driving the FFs. I don't think I'm advanced in my driving to really understand that, but I know a lot of people don't like driving them. So if you kind of have to be competitive in FIA, that's not really working out. I don't believe the new FIA calendar's been revealed yet, has it? Unless I've missed something.
No, not yet.
See what happens.
It's usually released about a week before, isn't it, or something?
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of room last time. Rory always enjoys Suzuka, yeah. I've grown to like Suzuka as well. The first section is one I used to hate in the S's because I just used to lose so much time. And now I see its opportunity. I think that evening I was doing the iRacing at Suzuka, and it really shines in iRacing because each bit of the S's is about being on a knife edge where you have the grip and how much deeper you can go into the corner. I was talking about that with Nathan earlier. Different feel you get in different games. I think Nathan has recently upped the force feedback intensity on his CSL Elite and has said it's a revelation in GT Sport. He's put it up to 100. Well, I think he also has his braking force up to 100 as well. Yeah, thanks for dropping by, Rory. Really appreciate that. Hope all is well in Rory Land. How's it going for people in this race? How are people finding it? I had a bit of an off. I'm kind of just meandering around at the back. Actually, I'm following Andy here. Watch out, Andy.
I managed to go wide on that quick left-hander. Whatever corner number it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 5 is it?
Yeah, do the corners other than the corkscrew actually have names here? I'm not sure. I presume they do.
I would have thought so. I've never been able to remember any corner names.
Anyone in the stream who's dropping a friend request, I will accept those after this race. I think we've got. Oh, I've done it again. I think we've got to the point where we don't need to, where we can have friends lobbies. So. It's our first time on Party Chat, really, so we're getting used to it. It's not going to be a well-oiled machine.
Feels like not that long ago since we had this very combination, but then not that long ago at the moment, it could be a few months.
Yeah. I think I'll up it to 5 laps. I think most people know the track, and it's going to be reverse grid, so I think we can go up to 5 now.
You know, I just wish. I mean, because I watch a lot of other guys with their streams, and you know, I watch Rory, I watch Basic Ollie, the Kia, Tidgney, and of course the Kia. He always mentions the fact that that he's hoping with GT7 that if they're going to do the daily races, then maybe do the daily race A as the short race, but daily race B and C as the long races, but with different categories. And of course with different combos, so instead of them only being like daily race B only being something like 4 laps long, they should do it the same length as daily race C, and then have them time slotted so that when one race finishes, you then have time to jump into the next race instead of having to wait maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think it's a fine balance. The races in GT Sport, they actually come relatively thick and fast. In iRacing, you can settle in for an evening of iRacing and only actually do 2 races in terms of their daily race equivalent. Yeah, I don't know. They do. If you treat it as you do a race and then you have 10 minutes of time trial, which is a few laps and then a few minutes off, I think they do come relatively quick. I heard Rory's idea of multi-split, multi-class races. I think that would be really fun. How it works out with kind of neatly overtaking traffic and the lower class cars doing what they do in real life, which is pulling over to the side, not pulling over to the side, but staying on the side of the track.
I mean, it's a good combo. But the problem is, if it's done in a daily race, I mean, we know situations where we have the slower drivers, and of course some of them are not. Let's be honest. Of course, if we're going to have multi-class cars on the track, how are the guys going to deal if they're in the GR4? How are they going to deal with the guys in the GR3 and even GR2 category cars catching them up and overtaking? It could be chaos.
Yeah, there's such a broad spectrum of drivers in GT Sport, which is great. Whereas iRacing and ACC, they kind of take a slice of that spectrum at the top end, where everyone's looking for clean racing.
Honest, I mean, they have it nailed. With the penalty system, 3 track limits, and you get the flag, and time penalties are a lot fairer.
Let me just catch up on the chat. Say what we got. Evening John Pearson, evening Alfie, evening Oscar. Ethan, any complaints? I don't know, Ethan. Ethan has recently completed a 1 race ban. Where is Ethan on track? And done his, what do they call it? Driver correction course remotely. Also, can't find my headphones. Well, if you find your headphones, then let me know. You can jump into the party chat. What are the other corners? Corkscrew, yeah. Rainy curve. Andretti hairpin. Is Andretti hairpin the first corner? I don't know. Liamo, what's the other daily races? I never know how to pronounce these names. That might just be Liam O, but I called it Liamo. Daily race C is going to be at Autopolis in the Group 1 cars, which is quite an interesting combo. And if I remember, daily race A is going to be at Sardegna. I can't remember which car that's in. I don't think you often know which car it's in. Hope that helps. Do feel free to drop a like for the stream if you're enjoying the stream today. We will jump into another race in a minute or two. Going to be reverse grid. Go on, Andy.
I was just going to say race A is a N400 specially provided car.
N400, is that like BRZ level stuff?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't often bother looking at race A.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. I used to really enjoy race A on the main account, but I don't think I've touched race A on the main account for a very, very, very long time, for obvious reasons. Let's jump into a 5-lap race then. See what's what. It's quite cool. We've got to the point where we can do a friends only lobby, and it is fully packed, and hopefully that's a good thing for the quality of the racing, and you know, also sharing tips and everything else we like to do on a Sunday. It's cool how we've got here. I'm going to try and find some tips then. Greg in the M4. Greg pretty inseparable from the M4. And it looks like a good mix down the road. Let me go full screen. I see you, Andy, behind.
Yeah, get to follow you now.
I'll try not to bin it at that corner that I binned it at twice out of the 3 laps last time.
Yeah, no, if you do, I'll try not to follow you. I was very tempted to try and just punt you off then. I'll refrain. Oh.
Very slow, Andy. Got some more weight in that car.
Yeah, obviously too much tea and chocolates. Woo! Somebody veering across the track.
I'm coming up on Ethan, so I'll be able to do a report on driving standards. Thanks for the subscription, Liam, or Liamo. Let us know how I should be pronouncing that. I quite like Liamo, I'll be honest. When I flick down the chat, I just say what I see, pretty much. Hope you enjoyed the stream anyways. Oscar goes side by side. I'm going to go off at this corner again. No, I'm not. Just saved it.
McFlurry is nice and quick behind me.
He's all over you.
Outside McFlurry. Oh.
He's a bad rash.
I think I wasn't quite one side or the other, so I don't know if I got a tap. I can't really hear my game. I'll follow Al's quick in his TT.
If I punt Ethan off, I'll never hear the end of it. Stream quality is pretty good at the moment, so maybe what kind of a voodoo we did worked. Going for the overtake on Ethan. It's the most dangerous place to be. Round the outside. Let's contact. I think it was an optimistic move by me, I'll be honest. Also got him at flow of company now.
Yeah, he'll chase you down.
But on what you were saying earlier, Barry, about, you know, faster drivers and just seeing their times and thinking how they find the time, I do find that in kart. That's not gonna. We'll just gloss over that. I do find that in karting. I race with some very, very, very fast drivers, and in the wet, it's just you think you're braking pretty late, and then you find someone just braking much later than you in a complete, what appears to be an uncontrolled fashion, where you would spin the car. You know, they're wobbling this way and that, and it's pretty awe-inspiring actually. It's a very stark realization that they are a long, long way ahead of me in terms of their driving. In the dry, it doesn't always seem like that because there's a lot of grip. Once you reduce the grip conditions, the talent really starts to kind of exploit it, and time differences become huge. Which is why I think Roswell often laps me in the wet, to be honest. Closing up on Issa here. I think Issa widely regarded to be maybe the most improved driver in Frey Bentos Racing driver development program. He's put that to the test now. I'm braking quite early here in the way.
Side by side going into the corkscrew. Not good.
How did it end out?
Nice arm win.
Feeling Q hat trick. This is a Group 4 race, yeah. Next week. In fact, this is a full race simulation because it is a 5-lap race in the Group 4s on hard tyres, no tyre wear, no fuel consumption. Do check out Hugh's channel. Hugh's been interviewing interviewing a lot of sim racers. He's got quite an interesting anthology there. So Rory's on there, Super GT's on there, Basic Ollie's on there. A lot of very cool interviews, so do go check that out if you want to. I don't know, it's not really behind the scenes, but hear more about sim racing from a different perspective from your favourite YouTubers. How's catching me a little bit.
And that's another thing, you know, if I can just say something, is the fact that there's no secret within the world of GT sport. You know,
Yeah.
if you watch Tidney, you know, the amount of detail he gives you about where to brake, you know, on each track, what cars are most suited for each track. I mean, this type of information, I don't think you would get on any other platform.
What do you mean, openness of information, or
The openness, exactly. You know, in the world of Formula One and touring cars, etc., everything is like, shh, you know, everything is a secret. Don't give nothing away. But in the world of GT sport, it's so open.
You realise that this is a game, though, and those are real life races.
Yeah, but I mean, to us, this is the nearest that we are going to get to real life racing.
But I think if you talk to people that actually do like proper sim racing, like talk to Kieran about iRacing, and you won't get a car set up from anyone for iRacing.
No.
I see both your points of view. I think the bit that resonates to me is that you do. Tidney is a GT Academy, you know, finalist. Key is very fast, and it is very open actually. People just talk about where they're finding time. They stream it all, so you see all their inputs, and that is basically as open. People aren't precious about letting other people know how to go fast. Actually, you could be cynical and say, well, there's more in it for them by doing that. But I think it does lead to a sense of openness. When we had the one race in GT Sport that I can remember where it was tuning for FIA in the old Formula 1 car, it was in a way the most ridiculous FIA race because people had a closed setup that was worth about 5 seconds over the lap, and that's kind of the antithesis actually of what GT Sport is. So I do see that. I think Andy's also right that in a way there is less riding on it, but you could say, you know, the GT Sport top 16 finals, you know, when they was doing the World Tour, they did mean quite a lot, and I'm sure if you were someone with a lot of time, you would gain a lot of pace by watching all these guys, etc. So yeah, I see it. It's not if you go into iRacing, you don't get that, but that's part of why I prefer GT Sport over iRacing, because it is just a lot more transparent. People just seem to share tips. I don't know what it is about GT Sport. I don't know if it's the fact that it's on console, so it's naturally more inclusive, or the physics or something mean that it's less of a mystery. You know, when you get into the world of iRacing and ACC, just a few settings changes on your setup can basically be the difference. And if you don't have those, you're not competitive, and that's not the case in GT Sport. It's an interesting thing to think about.
And there's one thing I cannot do, and that's chat and race at the same time, because I let Emwin win because I was too busy chatting.
Yeah, that's. I do find there are.
So I don't know how you guys cope. I mean,
What?
chatting online,
I think
whilst racing, and
there's two ways of racing. One is like really applied concentration, and if you do that, you shouldn't really be doing more than like 10-15 minute bursts, because you're concentrating that much. You need to decompress and think about it, and then go again. And there's kind of a bit more of like the subconscious, mindless racing, which is what I often do when I'm speaking. But I think that also helps to develop your subconscious as well. Evening, 97 Bobcat. Nice to see you, Ethan. We're not going to talk about that. Well, there was an incident with Ethan, but I think Ethan, you did run me off the road. Anyway, it's all on stream. I'm sure there'll be an appeal going in this year's there.
Steward's inquiry.
Yeah. But sorry, Ethan, for the contact I did make with you. I do apologise about that. Hugh, I was interviewing some of the drivers on the SimGrid Spa 24 hours race. They're all very committed, and for some of them, they put in a huge amount of time, so it's almost the same as the real thing. Yeah. Yeah. But GT Sport is a bit different, I think. GT Sport, I don't know of a good analogy, but it's the game for everyone. And you don't get that in iRacing and ACC. I've only played a set of course from PC, but you don't have that kind of mixing of the very top drivers and the newcomers, whereas in GT Sport, even on the weekday, the top split daily race, we'll probably have a few B drivers in there, and they get to race with whoever's having to go from the very top. So I do like that. I do like that openness, which I guess is what this lobby is about. Evening, Benny. Hope you're well. We'll do a couple more of these. Someone else wants to start a party. I don't think that's going to work. We will get to Autopolis later, because that is a really interesting combination.
The only thing with like the big mixed lobbies in the evening is there's very little benefit for the A+ guys to enter, isn't there? Because if you have a bad race, then it's brilliant for the lower drivers who beat you, because they'll get a good chunk of DR from it. But the A+ guys just lose out because they're finishing way down than where they should be.
Yeah, that is true. Although I suspect for a lot of A+ drivers, the rating actually means a lot less, because if they need to, they'll just recover it. Whereas if you're someone who's a B driver and you really want to get to A, because that is a meaningful milestone, yeah, I see the point, and that is probably why you end up having those lobbies, because there's just not enough A+ drivers entering them on their main accounts, actually.
Yeah.
The more I think about it.
And it's probably more, maybe less of an issue now, in the sense there's no prizes for winning any of the FIA championships, so there's not a lot riding on it. But I think for the last few years, there's been like prizes given out by Tag Heuer and things, isn't there? And then there's the World Tour as well. Yeah, although
I think I've heard people say that the amount of time you have to put in to get a Tag Heuer is actually not worth it. But yeah, it has meant something. Ethan, if you want to state your case, write your case in the comments, because people can just rewind the stream and see what happened. I may well have just completely squeezed you out. It was a bit of a hairy corner, is my memory.
If I can just say, the latest competition, of course, is with the Red Bull X 2019 time trial, and the guys at the top, the aliens, as we like to call them, the competitiveness was absolutely enormous.
Yeah.
Of course, many of them couldn't compete because they've already qualified for the finals. But the competitiveness was massive. One guy in particular, ERM Nick, I know he's a Czech driver. I've raced with him a couple of times from the Czech community. The guy is just quick.
Yeah.
He makes me look like a slug. And He was in the time trial and he was ready to give up. He put in so many hours and he just could not find that extra 300ths of a second. Then all of a sudden on the last day, the last seconds before it closed, he was the third quickest in the European, and he was something like the 10th quickest in the world or something.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. But the hours that they put in is just, for me, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But that's the competitiveness at the top.
I think
Huge.
it's not really possible. It would be good to see the ratio between the times and the time spent, and it would be interesting to see who's kind of really at the top. But I think those guys are just so ridiculously fast. Nice set of comments here. Binny, is that Shadow or Brian Cox, a science guy off Planet Program? And then underneath from Kevin, is that a Super GT? This is a Super GT Brian Cox combination that we didn't know we wanted, but it's probably on BBC 4.
Brian Cox is different to Guy Martin.
Both, I'd say, in the same ballpark. I could watch a Brian Cox Guy Martin mashup, whatever that would be. Right, let's crack on with another race. I'm going to try not to make any contact with Ethan this time. Morning, Loopy. Hope you're well. If anyone wants to join the lobby, just ping away in chat so I can add you to the friends list if you're not already on there. I think most people are on there. And if you are enjoying the stream, do feel free to tap that like button. Always very, very much appreciated. Right, what's going on here? So Barry's going to have to come from the back. So is Greg. I'm actually in a pretty good position here. If we can maximise that.
The BMW is quite quick right here.
It's funny, I rarely see the BMW in daily races, and then every time I race with Greg, he's always in the BMW and he always makes it look good.
I've got to say, he's actually quite quick right here.
Right. Yeah, initially I found speaking and driving quite difficult, and I used to crash a lot. I still do sometimes. And then I moved on to read the chat, and I used to crash reading the chat. And now I have speaking, reading the chat, and also checking what my internet upload speed is. And that I can safely say is the reason behind the majority of my kind of not just purely me crashes these days. So, whoa, got that to look forward to. I'm really not very good at the corner before the corkscrew. I don't know, just haven't found that groove yet to let the car wash out quite wide but carry the speed through.
It makes it difficult because of that little dip on the apex.
Justin's gone off.
What's ghosting again? Like from different drives, just as they go slow. I don't think it's them doing anything.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that today as well, Andy. A strong move there. Coming up with Ethan now. I will add you, Chris, after this race. If you ping me a request, just accept it. I'm second guessing myself now when it comes to overtaking Ethan.
Right, the hunt's on, Steve. I'm coming to you. See if I can apply some pressure through the chat.
This is looking like a classic and reverse grid race where it all really compresses.
Yeah, there's not many places to make a good clean overtake.
Well, I mean, Seca is not an overtaking. It's not an overtaking track. That's the problem with it. It's a case of sitting back and just waiting for someone to make a mistake.
Yeah, it's going to be a qualifying game and then just finish where you qualify.
Ooh, this is going to be interesting. I think Easter got lucky with the ghosting there.
I said chase down Steve if that's it, like an actual catch. Obviously doing very well with the pressure. Steve, I'll slow down if you slow down, honest.
Oh no! Chaos.
We won't talk about that one either, Ethan. Whoa, I hit that sausage in a big way. Thanks, Ethan. Nice little bump there, keep me going. I was trying to do that corner before the corkscrew again, I just absolutely launched into that sausage. And I think I've almost hit the barrier. The only thing that's bad about the TT, well, amongst many things probably, but is the wheel spin in second gear. It's just such a time sapping gear to be in out of slow speed corners. I suspect I need to be in third gear more.
Thought McFlurry was closer to me, so I once I started going wide, I went a little bit wide, and then he's suddenly like waiting for someone to pass you by, and it feels like an aim. Right, I'm going to stay in your slipstream now, McFlurry, so go, let's catch Steve.
Ah, I've done it again. It's a very tasty battle going on for about 6th place, I think. Steve is miles ahead, and if you look at the train kind of snakes after that, but I think Steve has checked out.
Right, I'm 23 seconds behind you.
I think that's this is the reverse grid issue though, isn't it? That if you mess up the grid order and you can't get back through, like Steve, I think Steve had an issue in the last race and he left, so he started at the front. But everybody else that should be starting at the front with the speed is now starting from the back.
That is true, although I would say the reverse grid seems to be working here because it's all nicely bunched up.
Yeah, I guess it depends what you call working. But it's
close racing.
It's clean though, so yeah, it's close racing and it's clean. The issue is for me, so like coming up towards the corkscrew, the racing line snakes left to the right of the track.
Yeah.
So I'm never quite sure how you defend that corner properly without running someone wide. or look like you're weaving, but you're not really weaving. You just hold on
There
to
are off. I found in the GT Sport kind of league race I've done here, there are often race-ending incidents going into the corkscrew with the banging of wheels and then someone getting pinged off to the side. It's usually the person on the outside. But it was very, very, very close. We'll see on the race finish screen, but from like maybe like 4th to 8 or something like that. Yeah, if you look at 4th to 8 was basically second and a bit. So 5 cars in there. Do let me know in the chat how the sound is. If we need to adjust levels, we can do that. It's kind of, for me and I think for everyone in the party, it should be pretty good. Chris will, yeah, if you send me a request, I'll add you now. Get that added in. But I'm not actually sure you have sent me a request. So if you send it, then I'll accept it. Jag not so good. Yeah, what were the cars of choice there then? I'm very kind of stubbornly sticking with the TT. I think McFlurry went all the way through the field. And that was a very good race to McFlurry.
Yeah, Effie needs to watch his driving because I was sat behind Safa and Effie was pushing him off the track, so you know, he's got a lot to learn.
Double A pace. Jag is good actually. Okay, mixed views on the Jag. I know Easter is always in the Jag. Steve didn't think I had any pace. Yeah, we'll see now. You got the have to start from the back. I think Ethan, it's a bit of a glass houses thing because you calling me out in the last race for a bit of side to side. It looks like it all went a bit crazy in that race. Right, there's not too much we can do to mix it up here, to be honest. This is the race. So maybe we'll do a couple more, but I think the really interesting thing tonight is going to be Race C, because I've never ever done that combo before actually. This is a combo that is not that uncommon. So we'll do another race and then we'll see how we go from there. Maybe we do a flash lobby. We'll see. I don't know if Detonator's around. If Detonator comes around later we can get that going. But we'll do another race in a couple of minutes and then we'll think about heading on over to race C, which is going to be an interesting combo. 20 cars there. Which is a lot of cars for the twisty bit in kind of sectors 2. See how that goes. Al's having a break. Al will sit this one out. There is a space now, so if you want to join Loopy, there is a space going. Greg, I used BMW because I was trying to get the most out of it. I was using the brand new manufacturers too. Yeah, I think we were talking about it earlier on in the party chat, how a lot of drivers can be very quick in their favourite car. It is a genuine thing. We mentioned you in the BMW, I think Steve the same in the RCZ. I usually have a bit more pace in the TT now. Barry in the NSX. Malaise, power just went off at my house. I don't know if you have the load shedding stuff in South Africa that I know has been causing the power cuts, or not causing the power cuts, it is the power cuts. Loopy in the house.
Oh, Loopy.
No problem, Al. You can stay in. You have to do some. You have to volunteer for some marshalling duties. Thank you everyone for joining the stream today. It's a bit of a different stream. It was also very last minute for me to get everything together, but we're here now. I'm very lucky that with my new rig everything just seems to work, which is great. Hope everyone has had a very good weekend. Bombshell news in the UK on the Saturday, which already feels like a long time ago. So we'll see what that means for the winter. But to be honest, I suspect it means more sim racing. Is one way through it. But yeah, thanks a lot for joining. Hope you enjoyed the stream. We'll do one more race here, unless it's an absolute cracker or there's some unfinished business. And then we'll head on over to Raceway, which I don't really know what to expect there. I've never driven high downforce cars around Autopolis, so I don't know what the first corner's gonna be like. I've only driven cars around the first corner that basically have very bad brakes, so I am looking forward to that. Right, we'll kick this off in a minute or so. Maybe we'll wait if Loopy is picking up a car. Do let us know, Loopy. And then from my perspective next week, so Tuesday I've got the first round of the Club 100 GT Sport League. There's going to be 16 drivers. Nathan's in there, Russell's in there, Trevisier's in there. Marky Boy's in there. Trevisio and Marky Boy, I think, are 2 GT Academy finalists. I'm in there. It's a team race, so we're all paired up. I'm paired with the official commentator for Club 100, who was commentating today. I think you were in the stream, Barry, for that. So Mr. Andrew Mather is my teammate for that. Double Dash Motorsport Media. That's going to be a 4-week championship, I believe, on Tuesday night. So I'll be doing that with some very, very, very fast drivers. The highest standard I've ever raced in. And then Thursday I've got a team versus team, going to be racing for Club 100 in the top lobby against Next Gen Racing. So Next Gen Racing, I think they have Apex Predator, I think they have VLX Sparks, VQS Dawson. So that'll be another very, very fast. We'll be just keeping an eye on the upload speed, just hanging in there at the moment. That will be broadcast with commentary somewhere, so I'll post a link to that. I'll be streaming on Tuesday. I think a few other people will be streaming as well. We'll see how that series goes. And I'm not sure if it's last FIA on Wednesday. I can't remember actually. Maybe the last FIA on Wednesday. Yeah, those are the immediate things on my list. I'm just keeping an eye on the upload speed. We can all, I think, hear each other in party. It's having one of those moments. Let's crack on with the race, maybe. Let's be join Barry on track. So if it goes potato quality for a bit. Sorry about that, Loopy. I'm sure a space will open up. Loopy's just this McGann trophy. That actually doesn't sound like a bad shout. In fact, that sounds like a very good shout. We are really skimming very close to the ground at the moment with the bit rate, so living dangerously. Right, Ethan on pole. Rex FIA is finished. Okay. Yeah. The next FIA season for manufacturers, I'd like to choose a kind of out there manufacturer and really go for it and do all of the rounds. That's what I want to do next time. And kind of dip in and out of nations when I really enjoy the races. But for manufacturers, just properly go for it. Car on the track. I heard some rapid downshifts there, which can be indicative of a unexpected deceleration. Whoops. So what are people's views on the sausages here? Because I've hit so many sausages already today, and we haven't done that many races at Laguna. I just seem to be a magnet for hitting them. And I'm sure in real life I would just destroy suspension on cars. They can't be that popular. Get rid of them, I say. That's another thing, Barry, you mentioning about kind of physicality of karting earlier. When you hit a curb in karting, it takes something out of you for the rest of the race, whereas in a game it's just kind of, yeah, whatever.
Well, I mean, I was watching the Club 100 this afternoon, and the curbs on that track were, how can you say, not so friendly.
Yeah, there's a big curb by Pylon, which is the corner that basically goes underneath a pylon. And there is a huge curb on the inside. And if you don't hit that curb, you're not going fast enough, basically. I think a lot of kart tracks that have curbs become quite unpopular with the owner drivers, because the owner drivers aren't keen of, you know, having to replace expensive bits of their cars because they accidentally hit a curb.
That's better, Iffy. Ethan.
Or is that going to be a penalty? I don't think I've hit the apex in the last corner at all today. It's just a corner where I think I have my braking mark all wrong. I always go too deep and lose a whole load of time on the exit. I think it's going to be quite a fun one to time trial this. It's one I need to time trial, really. Bit deep there. Well, I'm gonna have a pop here, definitely. Definitely gonna have a pop. Nope. Didn't need to. Apparently there's a good battle involving you, Barry, at the top. Spectators are saying.
Pulled away now.
Was a good battle.
2-second lead.
Yeah, I know, I've got a huge penalty. It's mainly from the corkscrew, I've just been consistently cutting it.
There is, in front of you, I remember a track guide someone doing here, I think it was Mr. MCA. As you go over the top, as you brake onto the left, in the trees in front of you, there's a gap.
Oh yeah, I
And
remember
if you
someone saying
head-
that, yeah.
Yes, I think it's the gap that I'm heading for as I get to the top, and then it lines you up nicely for the. What is going on? Oh, is that everybody wanting to start from the front? That's why everybody's spinning out at the end.
It's all getting very tactical now.
Yeah. Just,
Sorry.
I approached the end and there was 3 drivers all happily spinning before the line.
Right, I think it's time to head over to Race C. I think we all know that track. I think it's one that you kind of need to time trial, and it's going to be difficult to overtake, to be honest. So let me get.
Oh right, yes, we all know this track. You're not. Yeah, don't. I feel like give warning before you enter the race on the next one, because there may be people like me that don't really want to head into a race because they have no idea.
No. The next one we will need to have quite a bit of practice, because it's the fastest cars I've ever driven around that track. That's for sure. It's going to feel very, very, very different, I think. So,
Alright guys, I'm going to jump out because one, Autopolis is my Achilles heel.
and reason 2.
No worries.
The reason, I just don't know. I mean, I like technical tracks, but there's just something about Polis that I just really cannot connect with it. It's really, really strange. But we all have one of those tracks.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've really enjoyed it in the slower cars, the slower road cars that kind of, have a lot of body roll through the slower corners. I've no idea how the middle part is going to feel. I just hope it doesn't feel like Fuji for me. The middle part can be quite Fuji-like, and Fuji is my Achilles heel. So,
see, now I love Fuji. Maybe it's because Polis is just a little bit narrower than Fuji, because it doesn't seem to suit my style of driving. Because I like the fast-flowing tracks, whereas Autopolis is a very slow, demanding technical track where it's the entry speed and exit speed, especially the let me just get what's turn it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's turn 5, the left, where you don't drop a gear or anything. You just lift your foot off the accelerator, and then you have to wait and wait and wait before you then can apply the accelerator. Because if you do it too early, you're going to be cutting the grass.
yeah. Craig, who was talking along? I think we've got a Shadow and Barry at the moment. I think Steve was in the party earlier. Yeah, Barry and Andy, myself, guiding you through the tracks, if we can call it that. Sophie, what's the car of choice? I don't know, but I suspect the Toyota for the race. Doesn't seem like
they
a...
said-
Go on, Andy.
Oh, no, I was going to say, yeah, the Toyota for the race, but the Porsche or... I can't remember the other one for qualifying. Audi,
Yeah, I was gonna
Audi for the qualifying.
I was going to say the Porsche.
I think, yeah, if you're looking for money for one, the Porsche is a good bet for qualifying in the race. If you've got the money for two, then Audi for qualifying and Toyota for the race.
Well, I'm going to jump out because I need... Oh, jump into the race. I really need to practice this. This is all before we even get on tyre wear and stuff like that. Which can make a difference in Group 1, actually. I feel like I can hear a Mazda going around. Yeah, I've never approached the first corner at that kind of speed. I just need to reset everything I know about this track. Afternoon, Ray.
I think the break.
Go on, Barry.
I think the braking points will be the same.
They'll just come quicker.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like there's going to be more places that you just want to coast around in these cars, where you don't really want to brake and lift.
I mean, to be honest, the Group 1 cars around this track, I don't know if it's a good combo or not. I really... It's going to take a long time to...
Yeah, what is lap 1 going to be like at that kind of hairpin 6 or so corners in? I mean, it's just that's going to be a horror show. It's a horror show in like a race A, 12 cars. So we've got 20 Group 1s.
Yeah, I could see it being just a festival of punting and...
Festival of punting. They should that should be one of the events in GT7 career mode.
Pushing. What I like to see in GT7 is, where with GT Sport you watched a couple of videos, to do with race etiquette. I think if they need to go that extra level, I think they need to introduce licenses. And of course, if you revoke that license, then you have to take another license. But the license is done with scenarios. So you're actually learning about certain scenarios within a race, and what scenario do you do. And if you choose the correct scenario, and of course you're not punting or hitting or playing dirty, then I think that's the way forward for. But then, does it appeal to everyone?
I think ultimately that last point about does it appeal to everyone is probably quite relevant in that GT Sport always has to, Gran Turismo always has to appeal to everyone, and ultimately if you're at the very, very top end, and you don't like some of the mechanics around DR or SR whatnot, maybe you need to be playing iRacing or ACC or something like that, because GT7 I think has always got to be there for someone to pick up who's never played a racing game before. That's how we all start. It has a difficult job trying to shoehorn everyone into the same online lobbies, basically. I think it does a pretty good job, but we all know it's not perfect. Sometimes it's less perfect than other times. Gonna run deeper. Evening, Paul. Nice socks. Yeah, I went for different socks today. Leapy just going to watch, not doing B or C. That might be a wise choice, Leapy, this week. These come around so quickly. It feels like yesterday we were doing this at Seaside, and I had a good feeling about the week. I was so excited, and it turned out we had quite a fun week at Seaside. And I do feel a bit like, well, what is the racing going to be like at this track? We will see. I feel like a lot of people went out on the main account last week at Seaside, and that led to some really, really good racing at the top end.
I mean, I have to say, I mean, I actually quite enjoyed Seaside during the whole week. I thought it was a lot cleaner than normal. But then, when I got to BDRB, then I realised then starting at the back, was it really a good idea? Because then many of the slower players became a little dirty, you know, with the blocking and pushing, and you know, and then that was then when I realised I have to set a time.
Yeah.
But Seaside for me has been very enjoyable for quite some time.
Yeah, it's a great track. I mean, dare I say it's a better track than Autopolis, which is a real track. I don't know if that's impressive or not for them to come up with a made-up track that's better. Yeah, I am a bit worried about the racing here. The more I go around the track. It's quite easy to lose the back end of these cars in a way that can help you get round corners, but if you are going side by side, it can initiate the pinball physics, I think. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. I'll have to go test with some.
It's an unusual line there.
I'll have a look online.
Each of the final circle section is brutal. Yep.
Yeah, the uphill.
We've both done the same thing there, Paul.
Hitting pace.
Yeah, that last turn, I'm watching you, Kira. The
Yeah.
last turn, when before you get to the turn, go far to the far left, and just drift the car in. Try not to brake, but well, I don't know if you have to brake or not. But usually, because it's an uphill section, the car will automatically slow down.
Yeah.
And then wait until you're just up to the ridge, and then accelerate out.
Alright, try and put that together.
So with the last turn, okay, turning before, sweep out, and then bring the car as to the left of the track as possible. Then, just before you turn in for the corner, just lift off the accelerator. Just let the car just drift around, because the hill will actually slow the car down naturally.
Well, I'm just getting
before
to
you
it.
get to the,
Yep.
yeah. Because that corner you can actually gain 200-300%.
Okay, that's interesting. I don't think I actually brake that time. I did just do the lift off. Maybe it's because of the hybrid stuff as well. You can lose the speed quite quickly.
And this chicane, I mean, that chicane is an absolute nightmare. There we go. So yeah, nice. Just keep it left, right, and just there, and just let the car just drift round. There you go. So you might have to just turn in a bit earlier.
Yeah. Just to meet the kind of ideal
The
apex. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
I can see it now. That's a very good tip. Because if you brake, you're never gonna carry the most speed through there.
Yeah, exactly, and you're gonna lose revs. So, and you need a fast exit.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, not quite that time, but we're not a fan of this track at all. Probably the worst in the game. Yeah, a lot of people do say that about Autopolis. But again, you know, I've enjoyed it in the slower cars where the races are a bit more strategic. But I think
It's going to become a no-stop, isn't it? Or it is a no-stop, it's just...
How many laps is it, Shadow?
I'm not sure.
I think it's 12.
Well, tyres just racing hard, is it? No other compound.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, just hards.
It's just going to be a sprint then, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I think we might need to get into a race. Just to
Just set it
Get the
to
feel.
fastest first.
I don't think I'm not sure it'll make a difference here.
Yeah, turn
Just-
1 punt festival.
It's because as people learn the track, they don't particularly know the exact braking points, and so my concern is that the ones that are still learning the track in these cars are going to brake very early and surprise a lot of the quicker guys.
Hmm.
But it's JOO pace.
Maybe. I mean, I don't feel like there's a lot of people here who are gonna. We don't have any random people in there, basically.
No, we got everyone from.
I'm gonna try it, Andy. Let's see what
Discord.
happens.
Yeah, do it,
You may be right.
Go for it.
Let's have a bet. If there's multiple cars off at turn 1, which there will be, I don't even know what I'm having this bet. Yeah, no, but then we'll go fastest first. You can't cause that, Andy, obviously, because that would be a major conflict of interest.
I've just, for some reason, my brake has been acting really funny in the last like 30 seconds.
I mean, I've had my T3 PAs for 2 years now, and I didn't realise that you could actually set the stopper at the back. I've always had it at the furthest position at the back, so I always worried if my braking was wrong, because I always thought, why am I just that little bit slower? So of course, looking on YouTube, you find a lot of things out on YouTube, and of course they've said that you can set it about anything between 25% and 50%.
Is that using the rubber one or just the kind of screw?
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, the rubber stopper with the screw and a nut.
Yeah.
So I moved it forward about 50%. Tried it for a little while. Realised I needed to apply more pressure to hit the 100%. So I moved it back another 25%, and now the braking optimum is a lot better. But of course, you guys with the Fanatec, completely different.
Well, I used to do that on T3PAs. I used to use the rubber stopper, but I had this weird thing, and it's always hard to explain, but basically the pressure required to get to maximum brake would increase during the course of a race. Because when I would calibrate it at the beginning, I would never stand on the pedal 100% because that was too difficult for me to do in a race. Maybe I just wasn't applying enough force. So I used to take it out for GT Sport and keep it. Oh, see Andy on the side of the race. But on the Fanatec, I think it doesn't have that issue. But the more I think about it, I think maybe I just wasn't applying enough force to T3PAs. Yeah. It does give you the same sensation as a low brake. I can tell you now, that conical mod. It is the same thing about you apply a bit more pressure and you see the wheels locking up. There's a bit of chaos there. Woo. Oh no.
Oh, I guess the bench is going backwards. Oh, that hurt. Oh wait, we're doing reverse grid. I can be tactical here, can't I? I don't want to go fast. Go fast for one and then go slow for one. Oh no, I've come off the track.
Just order it. So what's your Achilles? Shadow, what's your Achilles heel then? What track is your Achilles?
Trying to go forwards is my Achilles heel.
Lint chocolates.
I've still got. I've only eaten 4 of them. I think I've had 2 per stream.
What, in the last hour?
But no wonder you're too slow.
Yeah. No, I've only had 2 boxes per stream. I thought that was like the standard requirement. No, two chocolates per stream. So
It's better than eating 4 Frey Bentos pies, Andy. So it's a step up from that.
I mean, are you on a diet or something? I mean, you know, a woman to go through a box of lint and no problem at all. I mean,
I've gone through boxes of lint. Anyway, I don't think we're meant to talk about lint. I think I derailed that a little bit.
My Achilles heel is it's consistency. I seem to be able to. I don't mind any track really, but I'm far too nice. I don't like to be aggressive. So if somebody comes up and like tries anything,
you're just too obliged to let them pass.
I either I'm too obliged to let them pass, or I don't make a move where I should make a move. Like, you know, like throw it down the inside because it's like actually I am faster and I would make it, but I'm like, oh, I don't want to hit them off, you know.
Honestly, Andy, you should watch the Club 100 stream. There was one today, I think. Yeah, Barry said he's watching because it is eat or be eaten, and
totally.
It's actually a good mentality to have. Puts you on the front foot. I think your instincts drive you forward a little bit more. The more you allow yourself to think about things, the more you're going to miss the moment, as it were, with the overtaking.
Yes.
So you've obviously got the pace. So it's interesting that racecraft is maybe the thing you want to work on. And I remember the series when you got to A was at Nürburgring. You qualified very well, and you were very good at holding those positions at the top. So you definitely have that pace.
Yeah.
What do you think it is, Andy? Do you think it's kind of a second guessing that if I miscalculate this, I'm going to hit someone, and then it's going to be my fault, or is it just I'm not sure if this is the right moment to go for it?
Yeah, so probably just trying to work out, like, reading their race. So being able to come up behind them and go, right, where am I really quicker than them, and how am I going to set this up? Like through the chicane of death, I learned that one that if you're faster than the guy in front, you let off before the chicane of death, and then accelerate all the way through. So by the time they've messed up the exit, you're overtaking them on the straight.
Yeah.
So it's just learning more little tactics like that to go, actually, we're 2 corners away now, so back off now, and by the time you catch them, it'll be on the straight, kind of thing.
Yeah. That is definitely a thing in endurance racing. Endurance racing is stalk your prey a little bit and then find out their weaknesses. But there isn't, even the daily race season, the FIAs are not. I wouldn't say they really get to endurance race level. It's still an all-out sprint, really.
Yeah, it is. It'd be
then,
nice if they did 40-minute races, where it would just, and increase the tyre wear. Not so much the fuel, because there's one type of race I cannot hack, and that's these fuel-saving races. Because there's some cars that you can save fuel in, and there's other cars where it's virtually impossible, and because they rely on high revs. But, yeah. It's like my championship I've got that starts tomorrow in the Czech community. Tyre wear will last. We can't pit until 20 minutes before the pit window opens. We're on the racing hards, so we start on the racing hards and we have to finish on the racing hards. So the pit window is only open for 15 minutes. So you then have to pit because your tyres are completely
Yeah.
not more than 50%. And then you have the choice then, do you go onto the racing mediums or do you stay on the racing hards? Because you have to finish on the racing hards.
Yep.
So you have to, yeah.
I think they don't have a lot to play with, Barry, in terms of forcing a strategy. So, you know, if the track isn't dynamic in the way that kind of is in the early Project Cars games, when you think about it, sport mode there's not a lot of options you can change really. That's why I think GT7 is going to be good, just whatever it does to mix it up. I don't mind the fuel saving one so much when I know what to do. It's when I don't know what to do, I just, you know, you can be on the wrong strategy and not really know it. Evening Detonator, hope you're well. I think you joined the lobby as well. Let us know if you want to join in the chat as well. Binny was saying Andy's an expert on the Cosmos, so maybe actually that's the race we need to see. We need to see Brian Cox against Andy one-on-one. Maybe one-on-one and then follow it up with a one-on-one debate on quantum theory or something. Issa, not sure how I feel about that one. Yeah, same, Issa. Sorry, Andy.
No, I was going to say, is it worth... I'm just watching, and I think there was a lot of slips before, and I wondered whether it was watching a Detonator lap on the stream and talking through his lap.
Let's do that then.
For people if they want to watch and see what's going on.
Okay, I've just come up with an idea. Okay, something I mean, maybe consider a bit later. There's so many guys that are streaming online, and of course we got a group, and not only are they streaming online, but they also have Discord. So they all have various members of different levels. So, I mean, there's Adventure Racing. There's who else is there? Basic Ollie. I don't know if Tigini's got Discord. I don't know if Rory has Discord. If they do, I mean, wouldn't it be a good idea to have maybe a championship against the other Discord accounts?
It's a very good idea. It's a very good idea, Barry. I think fundamentally, it's all one big sim racing community, and like, you know, everyone watches everyone. I don't think it's that tribal, but I do really like the idea that, you know, maybe Basic Ollie's team race in yellow and we race in Frey Bentel's blue and Tigini races in green or something, and there's like a big meta, you know, thing to it. I do think that would be really cool. Maybe that's the way it will go. Maybe just everyone will join a community and that will be their... It's a bit difficult because you have to rename your PSN and you can only do it once, but yeah, I don't know. And then you have, on top of that, you have the actual esports teams, but it's a very interesting idea. It would take, Barry, I think, someone to come along who's kind of separate or above all of that and try and put it together. You know, in a similar way to how Hugh's come along and you know, interviewed everyone.
Yeah, which I think is unique, because I don't think there's anyone else that does it.
Paul Stamford says he's nicking my idea, so maybe Paul had a similar idea. But it's about... I think a lot of people in sim racing are inherently competitive. I think we're all probably quite competitive, which is why we do it.
What we do.
But also the kind of the bigger picture is, in terms of sim racing YouTube, is really not competitive. I think everyone's, you know, everyone is watching everyone. Everyone's sharing trips. Everyone has recommended people to, if you like this, you like that. So it kind of meeting those two in the middle is a bit of a delicate thing. Like how do you keep fostering that sim racing community and also set off communities against you? I don't know, but it's a very interesting concept. I know I'm definitely going to give that some thought.
I've planted the seed.
Yeah.
I mean, we started doing it with the team versus team in our Discord, haven't we?
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
And of course, we got the SSBB.
That's the one. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
With yeah.
Going to the race, a couple minutes. We didn't really talk over Detonator's lap there, Andy. I'm sure it was a good one.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was a good one. Paul Stanwood, with the help from esports, yeah, I'm sure. I wonder if it's almost inevitable things will go in that way, because it is so unstructured at the moment, and there is so much interest in it. It kind of seems ripe for a bit of structure in that way, or something to link everyone together, because there's no real hard link between everyone at the moment, between the likes of Tidgeny and Ollie and Rory and maybe myself. So yes, it's a very interesting one, and it doesn't really make sense for just the YouTubers themselves to race each other, because they do that anyway. We do that anyway. It kind of, that doesn't acknowledge the fact there's these whole communities and people are sharing tips within the communities and trying to get faster, and actually racing other people as a way of testing how you're doing, and also being an incentive to share those tips and get faster. So yeah, it's a very interesting one. Don't know, too busy right now. May join chat later. Yes. Go on, Andy.
No, it was me.
So bad.
The other interesting thing that would be interesting if GT7 could do it is we now have all of these e-sport teams. So I think, wouldn't it be in their interest for PD, Polyphonic Digital, to actually come up with a concept of team racing instead of just the one-on-one championships?
Reminds me of, I didn't play a lot of it, but it was the game I had when I bought the PS4 was Drive Club, and the whole essence of that game was you were in clubs, and actually you would enter, your club would enter a race, and it would be 6-on-6. And now I think about it, is not an element in GT Sport at all. If people affiliate themselves by changing their PSNs, but it doesn't actually mean anything in the game. Doesn't recognise it as such. And that would be that is a way of doing it, maybe, that you would see how many people from that team have raced, how many points they've got, or positions gained, or try and equalise it so it accounts for people with different abilities. Yeah, I don't know. But then again, maybe another game will come along and do that. I don't think Project Cars does anything like that. Maybe Drive Club was a bit of an outlier when it came to it. It's a shame I never really got into Drive Club, actually. But that whole team aspect would have been pretty cool. I think every week it would say, who's moved up in the teams. It was like, who were the best teams in the UK and Europe and whatnot, if I remember correctly. Sorry, Steve.
And of course, then we've got the different regions in GT Sport. I mean, I think, wouldn't it be a good idea if they just incorporated the regions together with the FIA manufacturers, or would it just be a lag issue? That's why they do the regional online series.
I don't know. It's something you could try and bring together for a super final. So on kind of special occasions. I mean, we do it in the lobbies. The lag isn't always horrendous, but we're not analysing it really. Oh, I spun. But that is why iRacing, endurance racing, really appeals to me. The concept of being in a team and settling in for a 6-hour race and working together as a team. There is no actual real team racing built into GT Sport, now I think about it.
Yeah, there is in ACC, because now they can actually, you don't need 3 drivers to be in the same building. They can actually be all in their bedrooms, and they pit. When they pit, they press a button or something, and then the next player then takes over that car without even without leaving the bedroom. Very, very clever concept.
Yeah. Sorry, in the chat, I'm trying to read the chat, and just the next corner comes in about 0.3 seconds, so I'll read the chat in a bit.
Sorry, chat. I do like to talk a lot.
Oh, almost taken out Sophie now.
How are people finding the diff? Is anyone else in the car that's not the Toyota?
Yes, there's a few that are out, not in the Toyota.
Or the Porsche and Toyota maybe.
Toyota has a massive start advantage because of the battery. So someone was in a non-hybrid car and I think that...
Yeah, I think Steve was in an Audi that's struggling.
Yeah, so I think they say the Audi's going to be quick over the one lap, so qualifying. You'll see the Audi.
Whoops. Paul, who's speaking? It's myself, Andy, and Barry in the party.
Good evening, chap.
I think I need to get used to the way these cars... you can almost use the throttle to help you corner in situations.
Oh, definitely.
And if you just wait to get around the corner on the brake, or off the brake, it's not really going to work. I can see Detonator's got fastest lap on lap 2, so maybe we do need to do that. Watch a lap of Detonator. Yeah, I could do with it.
My other concern is watching too much that's going on in the race rather than my race. Oh, that was the last lap and I spun going up the hill.
I mean, what was quite interesting was watching Sophie the other day. She was playing in her alternate account in Australia, and she was in Loopy's lobby with a couple of other. I think it was Rebecca. She plays on Cute Race Girl stream. There was a couple of other top guys that Loopy knows of quite well, and yeah, she did really well apparently. So
she got a top time, hasn't she, for daily race C at the moment?
I don't know. I haven't really looked.
I think someone says it has a very good time in the Australia rankings.
But again, it's your community that you have there, Kirith. I mean, it's like Loopy the other day. You know, how much he was praising. You know, the community that you have in Discourse, and how much he's learning from it. And everyone seems to be learning from it, and actually improving.
I think we're lucky that we have actually fast drivers, and we have fast drivers who are very happy to. I don't think it's as much share secrets, but talk about what they're doing, and a lot of people who want to try and work out how to go faster. It's a very good mix. I don't think I do an awful lot in the middle. I think that's the important ingredients. So we ride on board with Detonator here, so I'll try and see what Detonator. I think you need to maximise squaring corner exit, get the steering straight early, ABS, then the hybrid kicks in. Yes, maybe. I seem to spend a lot of more time going around the corners than I would like.
Right, yeah, so as he's saying, once he gets on the power early which is all about carrying the speed down the straight then, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the speed he's carrying, see, because there's so much downforce in his cars. It's just having that reliability in the car. That's my Achilles heel. How much can I push the car? See, that's the corner. That's a nightmare corner. Get it wrong and you're on the grass.
Yeah, Detonator was sharing his times earlier. I think Detonator used 3 or 4 different cars and was lapping them very close. Go on, Barry.
There's also another thing with these cars, and as well as how quick that you can downshift. The faster you can downshift, the slower the car, the slower the car can be whilst braking.
Brakes so much later than I do, yet still manages to make the corners.
It might be. I think those downshifts, as Barry was saying, are very very quick downshifts.
Yeah, definitely.
He also revs it out quite a lot.
Because I also found out, when was it, last year, I was in a Porsche championship within the Czech community on Interlagos, and with the Porsche you can actually high rev it, and especially when you're in 5th gear. And I made the mistake by changing it into 6th gear. And the minute I knew exactly what I did, so when it came to braking, the car took too long to slow down. So with high revving it, when you're coming to a corner, do you change to a higher to the next gear, or do you keep it? Sometimes it's better to keep it, because when it comes to braking, you can actually brake a lot later without the hindrance of changing that one extra gear.
Yeah.
The other thing,
That makes sense.
The other thing I realised watching Detonator is he's on the pad.
Yeah, but do you know what?
Smoothness, like, I always think that it's like tracks like this where you're with the higher cars, to get the smoothness through the corners, I think a steering wheel really helps. It's just amazing, his precision at turning in and smoothly pulling away.
Things with the pad is, of course, the tyre management. They actually go through the tyre wear just that little bit more.
Yeah.
Evening, Micah Longstaff. Hope you're well. I'm trying to work out how to do this track in this car. Detonator's very good at it. Safety at the moment with the fastest time, but Detonator I think is on a purple lap.
He's flying.
Oh, bit of wheel spin there.
See, I wouldn't drop it to first on that slow right turn. I'll keep it in second, because accelerating out, being in first gear will actually be a lot slower.
The race is very, very. I'm just trying to watch how much he's braking. It's a lot of half braking.
He's trail braking. Yeah, he's hard braking. Then he's trail braking, which means he can carry maximum speed into the corner.
I think Detonator's also very good at being modular with the throttle, even on a pad, which is very, very difficult.
His control of the car with a pad is, that's a talent.
Evening, Ari. Hope you're well. In Finland. Oh, another purple sector for Detonator. Getting squeezed out a bit there by Issa. Almost went a bit Stroll for Stappen. We'll kick off with another race when Detonator finishes this lap. I think, for myself, it's going to be just practice needed as well.
Is it worth just giving a few more minutes for people that have watched that lap to run round? But maybe everybody is running round. Maybe it's just us that's watching the lap.
It's a good idea. It's a good idea for us then, Andy. I'm going to go out and do a lap then. Hope everyone's enjoying the stream. We've been talking about doing pod chat for a while, and we finally got it working. So we've got Andy and Barry in party chat, which is what we wanted to do on Sunday for a while, actually. So it's nice to make it happen on the track. Well, I think it's very useful because this is the difficult combo. Make no mistake about it. What you don't want to do in a daily race, I suspect, is start high up the grid with your quali time, get punted into turn 1, watch all the traffic go by, and then have to make your way all the way back through that without picking up the SRs, the SR downs.
I mean, if anyone is thinking of doing this next week, I don't know how to do it, but they're looking at it. Before you get to turn 1, just use your brake, just press your option button, especially at the start, because it will be a pump fest. To avoid the pump fest, I would just press that option button, so the car will just goes.
See you, Steve. Good trace the Barry. I think your microphone's gone very quiet.
Sorry.
I think you were saying go into ghost mode or something.
Yeah, into turn 1 after the start of the race. So when the race starts, what I would do is just as I brake into the corner, just press that option button so the car just goes into ghost. So then that way you're just actually avoiding the punts that will happen. It will happen Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It wouldn't be so bad because the Need for Speed players will give up playing this specific track. So what happened on Fuji when we had Fuji not so long ago with the Class C. Believe it or not, all week it was quite nice because there was no need for speed drivers because they couldn't drive the car.
Right, we'll do another one here, and then we probably need to start adding the tyre wear. I'm a long way behind this week compared to where I like to be on a Sunday at Daily Race C. It's just a tricky one. So we can practice the race dynamics and you know where to overtake and where to defend, but unless you're very, very gifted, I suspect this is one that will need a bit of time trialing. I will say that the quick downshifts, as Detonator recommended also in the chat, have really helped me in that last lap. Just smashing that down like... I mixed up my words there. Smashing that downshift like you could smash the like button. It was a pretty awkward segue.
Well, I mean, it's not hard to hit that like button, is it? I mean,
it sounded better in my head, that one. In the split second I thought about it. Right. East is in a non-hybrid car, just FYI for anyone coming through.
What's your brake balance, Jake?
I just went down to -1 on the recommendation of Detonator. It was +2.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so you're gonna gain half a second through this now then.
Here we go. Yeah, ta-da.
I think question for Al. Al, we're going to see I think our first Group 1 Frey Bentos Racing livery. I don't think we've seen the Frey Bentos livery on something as fast as this. That would be very interesting. And we've lost Greg. We've lost Greg at the hairpin at the top of the circuit, and we lost Issa as well. Yeah, I'm doing the downshift like I'm shooting a gun in Call of Duty that's like a semi-automatic gun. It's using that same reflex.
So, just a question to Al. I know you're listening, Al. I don't see you racing very much. Do you actually race on Gran Turismo? I mean,
I have seen Al race. Al has definitely raced a lot on stream. Whether Al is moving more into a corporate role, I don't know, but I've definitely raced with Al a lot. But it takes time to make those liveries as well. Come, Barry?
Yeah. Oh, you need to spend more time on the track, not time in the livery shop.
Depends what you enjoy.
Very true.
Not everybody needs to race.
To be honest, when I had Forza 4, the thing I enjoyed most was taking photos. I would just do a lap and just take loads of photos. So, same concept with liveries.
Yeah, but then yeah. Did that have a... I feel like some of the pictures that you end up with from Gran Turismo are like... sometimes I see them and I wonder whether I'd ever be able to tell that it wasn't real.
Because of the graphics.
I mean,
my girlfriend, Camilla, she's Czech. Of course, in Czech Republic, this is all new. I mean, they lived in communism for about 40 years and came out in the late 80s. So when she first saw this, and she was watching it on TV, she actually questioned me and said, "Is that real?"
I've done the same thing, Barry. I've done the same thing on YouTube, and you have the little thumbnail or the small preview. And sorry, I had it the other way around. I was watching. This was when we were coming out of lockdown, maybe, and they did a race at the Nürburgring, 24 hours, in some endurance championship, and I saw the preview play, and I saw the graphics were a bit different. Not the graphics of the game, but the graphics of the leaderboard that I hadn't seen before. I couldn't place it in a game. But I was certain it was a game, and then actually that wasn't a game, that was real life. But when I thought about it, I couldn't actually... We are getting to that point, difference. Yeah.
And now we've got Gran Turismo 7 coming. It's like, I think the graphics are just going to be taken to a completely different level.
Definitely. And I would say as well, I think sim racing actually, probably historically, if you leave Forza and Gran Turismo out of it, but like proper sim racing, the graphics have actually been quite poor, because they're not the thing that the development time has gone on. So when we start seeing the sims increasing their graphics, I mean, that's going to blur the lines even more between real racing and sim racing. And if it's entertaining to watch and people want to watch it, and you can do more of it, probably going to see more money going into it and more.
Well, I mean, with the situations that we're facing today, with more of these restrictions coming in, people will be turning more with online gaming. Doesn't matter what game they're going to play, whether it's ACC, whether it's iRacing, or whether it's Gran Turismo Sport. It's going to elevate once again. It did between the months of March and June, with the professional racing drivers that started to join the online series. So I think it's going to expand again, but to a level I don't think that they've ever seen, and I don't think that they ever thought that they would ever see.
Definitely. Exciting times.
No, definitely. There's one guy that I watch, James Dilster. His online is Monaco Dilster 72, and of course he was very picky and choosy about which team he wants to drive with. Monaco come along and they offered him what he wanted, so he said yes. Well, the guy who runs Monaco wants to take them to Monaco to actually go karting.
Around the streets, presumably.
I don't know. I don't know if they've got a karting circuit in Monaco. I just do not know. But that's what he's offered the guys at some point. But again, it's just this online esports that's just expanding like never before.
Yeah, I think very, very exciting times. Yeah, I feel like we're on the... It's interesting if you're a kid growing up as well. You know, how many motorsport drivers do we hear now saying, "Yeah, I grew up and I used to play Gran Turismo, I used to play this and that."
No.
I think I was at Rye House yesterday, watching Nicky Richardson go down. Who's a test driver for Club 100. Who famously used to beat. Well, the story about Lewis Hamilton. I don't know if anyone else knows the story about Lewis Hamilton, about how his dad used to stand at a corner.
Oh yeah, he used to stand like way past where he wanted to brake and say, "You can't brake before you reach me," or something.
Yeah, so Lewis used to brake at a certain corner of going into the first corner at stadium, and the guy who was a champion used to brake a bit later, so his dad used to stand where the other guy broke, and then Lewis would brake later and be faster. There's not even a structure. We're going off tangent, whatever I was meant to talk about. But that champion was a guy called Nicky Richardson, who is the test driver for Club 100s, and famously was, or maybe not famously, ironically, was faster than Lewis Hamilton growing up. But then the money dried up and things didn't go his way, and Lewis Hamilton became.
Hang on, is this the guy that does the sim racing back at the McLaren, at the Mercedes test centre? He tests the exact car setup that Lewis Hamilton will use for the race weekend.
I don't think I'm not aware of that. Possibly, but again, that is another career, which is what I was going to say, like behind the scenes, where if you're growing up now and you're really into racing games, you know, there is kind of a career path maybe emerging. Rather than before, which is basically if you wanted to get into motorsport, you had to be very good at karting, and you needed to get sponsorship to go into single seats or whatever. And if you didn't have the sponsorship or didn't have the money, that was the end of the road. And in the same way that we've seen a lot of, you know, Formula 1 drivers or other drivers didn't quite make it going into series like Formula E and other stuff that sprung up, maybe there's another road through that will be sim racing, and you have very, very fast drivers sim racing, and maybe people hold them in higher esteem than even real world drivers, because it's often, you know that you have parity in sim racing when it is a parity race, because the code has full parity. So if you're the fastest driver in sim racing, there are really no question marks about that. You can't say like Lewis Hamilton, well, he had the fastest car for 6 years. So it's very interesting if you're growing up and you're into sim racing. Definitely much more of a legitimate thing. I think Paul Stanford will Sim Racing Academy. Yeah, Paul Stanford's got a business actually based around that in West Bromwich. Detonator going to sit a few out. It's a pad overheating detonator with the pace. Binny only got this game in March because of lockdown. I think it's brilliant. Binny, that's a lot of pace for someone who only got it in March. It's very impressive. Evening, Kirith, well. Evening, Ian. Is it just me, or is the track map ET with an erection? Have you noticed?
Can't say I usually look for that image in a track.
I don't know. I think you see a psychiatrist there, Ian, where they show you the book with like, tell me what this image means to you. Well, I've upped the race limit and I put tyre wear on, so 7 laps tyre wear. I think at some point, by the way, I think we will head to Blue Moon Bay, and we will give the Bugattis a run out. That was a very, very fun race last time we did that, and I have a feeling driving these high performance cars it would be a good place to go. But at the moment, Greg with the fastest lap, although it's not the fastest we've seen today, but there is tyre wear on now. Andy in second. Go on, Andy.
Maybe Detonator needs to head out and just show us what we can do with tyre wear.
Yeah, sorry Detonator, having cigarette break has been called out.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump out on track as well. But at the end of the day, it's about how many people want to watch it. And I would say the amount of people that want to watch sim racing now is just growing and growing and growing. The structure will follow that.
Well, I mean,
I was watching Formula One today. I haven't watched Formula One for the past couple of weeks. It was getting, how can I say, it was just getting a bit boring. It was always the same guy winning, Lewis Hamilton. Okay, so he's fast. You know, why is he super fast? Is it down to the car? Is it down to himself? Etc. etc. So I thought, right, okay, so it's Sunday, the weather's miserable, which it is. It's like here is typical English weather. I was thinking, my God, I left England 11 years ago. And so I put it on, and with about 20 laps to go, I switched it off because it was just so boring.
Yeah.
And yet, if I watch esports, I mean, it's a completely different thing. There's so much excitement.
Do you know what it is to me, Barry? It's watching a top 16 race in GT Sport. You know, everyone is in. If it's Nation, for example, everyone is in the same car, and it basically comes down to pure skill.
Yep.
And if someone goes for an overtake, it really is a kind of, you know, man versus man, man versus woman, you know, kind of test of who is better. Whereas in Formula One, it almost feels like everything is pre-written, and people are just executing a strategy that is going to land them a position or a range of positions that have been predetermined by their strategists. And it is very distant, I think, from the actual drivers. And they try and do a lot with the drivers, all the interviews and, you know, all the social media, because otherwise, I honestly think it would really struggle, to be honest. Especially now you've got no crowds.
Definitely. The other thing is, when you compare Formula One to IndyCar, which I have done in the past, I always thought, you know, Formula One is a lot faster than IndyCar. But really, if you look deep into it, IndyCar is more equal, because they all have the same not the same engine, but they all have the same aerodynamics, the same shape of the car. Everything is identical. So at the end of the day, it's down to the driver. Whereas Formula One is completely the opposite. And I think really Formula One should take the approach of IndyCar.
That'd be very controversial,
so
though, in terms of the whole teams and well, it would be great if there hadn't been 6 straight seasons of one constructor winning it, because it kind of delegitimise an argument. But there are whole teams of hundreds of people trying to build a car, and that's a separate championship, and that would be great if it was, you know, really up for grabs every year.
But then when we look at 2022 and look at the cars that you know, the design of the car, I mean, it's a complete transformation. So I'm hoping that the competition is going to be a lot tighter between the manufacturers and the drivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're changing the rules to make the air coming off the car different, aren't they? So it makes it a lot cleaner to follow. So it should make for a load better, like, racing.
Exactly. Like they were saying today, that the dirty air was affecting the tyres on Imola, where it affects the tyres, you know, on many tracks. So it's a good concept to actually look at to improve the sport. They know where the problem is. So it's just taking it to that extra level to bring in and keep.
Because I would say, Barry, when there is a genuine overtake in Formula One, it is really special, because, you know, it's very high speed. There's a lot of expensive machinery in there against drivers that have come all the way up. So when you have those moments, it is really special. But sometimes they are very, very rare, actually. The most exciting part of a race often is the start, and then maybe a safety car.
Well, I mean, there was a couple today. What's his name? The Russian driver,
Kvyat.
Yeah, Kvyat. You know, and Ricciardo. You know, Kvyat couldn't actually catch up, but there was a point where Ricciardo took Kvyat on the outside. You know, that to me is exciting, but that was about it. There wasn't much else.
Do let us know what you think about this in the chat. Possibly controversial opinions, I don't know, maybe it's not controversial opinions anymore. My only kind of input is that, yeah, sim racing is simulating real world motorsport. So if real world motorsport diminishes, does that have a knock-on effect for sim racing?
I think
I don't know.
sim racing is accessible, isn't it? That's the big thing.
It's cheap.
Like, I don't think I've ever come onto GT Sport and thought that I want to race like Hamilton on here, whereas I'd get Formula 1 to pretend that, and to live the dream. So this, I feel like this, when I get into GT Sport, this is just me. This is me racing. Whereas when you're in Formula 1...
Yeah. You want to be your idol. You want to be the Hamilton. You want to be the Bottas.
Yeah.
You want to be the Verstappen. But Gran Turismo Sport is just completely open because I don't know any GT3 drivers. I don't know any GT4 drivers. I don't know any. So it's just down to me. So I totally agree with you, Shadow. What about you, Kirith?
What's the specific question? Otherwise, I'll just go on a ramble.
Yeah, you're
pre-warning.
concentrating, aren't you?
with his race coming up, I feel like he's going to be singing F1 praises a bit more.
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be into motorsport if it wasn't for F1. I'm pretty sure of that. Inherently, GT3, GT4 is not as exciting, and I remember growing up and the F1 drivers were absolute legends, and the drivers today will be as well. But it was an interesting point Andy made about, Barry as well. We don't know any GT4 or GT3 drivers, but actually doing it in sim racing is really fun. And I actually prefer driving the GT3 cars. So I don't know. But my point earlier about what happens for sim racing if you lose a top tier motorsport. I'm in a Toyota hybrid. World Endurance Championship is not in as good place now as it was in the peak, I'd say, of about the 2010s, a few years either side. So what does that mean if you can't simulate a beastly LMP1 car because they don't exist? It's not a good thing. If F1, if we lose F1 and we only have Formula E, what does that mean for sim racing? Because you can no longer simulate. But they are very symbiotic, I think. I don't know.
Here's one for the chat. What game inspired you to be competitive with racing?
That's a very good question.
Mine, believe it or not, was not Gran Turismo, because mine was various games. Mine was like Colin McRae Rally. One of the best rally games that there was at that time on the PlayStation 1. TOCA touring cars. Need for Speed. Even though it's a different kind of concept of a racing game, but still it was racing. It was that thrill, the excitement. Then came along Gran Turismo, and it was like taking realism to a completely different level. So now, the only game I play, believe it or not, is just Gran Turismo.
But didn't Lando Norris sit there and say that Gran Turismo is rubbish as a sim?
Yeah, but it's not about being. It's not purely about being a sim. It's about racing. The best thing about being a sim would be.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah. You go out and you have to do an installation lap and then come back in and check your temperatures are fine, and then do 2 laps to warm up the tyres, and then you have a few laps in the window, and then your tyres go off. That's like pure simulation. But that's not fun for us, I think.
When you have Lando Norris, if you watch Lando Norris racing on Formula 1, to be honest, they just think it's fun. They just think it's a laugh. But how you see them race, they wouldn't do that in a real Formula 1 racing car. So how serious are they actually taking it? They're not.
Yeah, they're so good. They're so good. It is all a game to them.
So to me, it's like they're dismissing online esports in their own way, because they're actually doing it for real. Which is completely different. But when I watch them, I think that they're just being, how can you say? Personally, I don't like watching them. No, honestly, we race
We like to be fast. We like to take it serious. Whereas when I watch them, they're just like clowning around and thinking it's fun and etc. etc. And taking each other out, and I'm thinking, why? They wouldn't do this in real life, so why are they doing it on esport?
Yeah, but I don't know. I think I've got different views to that, but I won't bother.
That Shadow. It's a free world.
Go on,
free
Andy.
Speech. Free speech.
No, I know.
Free speech. Say it. Go on.
I'm not going to race to the challenge.
Oh yeah, but I'm not challenging you.
I think
I don't mean to the challenge. Go on, Kira.
Well, I think I don't know. I'm not. I don't think I agree with that. I'm not really sure why I don't, but I just kind of feel like I don't. I feel like they've earned their right to be in Formula One, and they go up over East for real. And if they get it wrong, the consequences are life and death. So, you know, it is going to be a game for them. But they are so good. They are still. You know, if I recall, when the F1 drivers were racing F1 2020, you know, which actually I think struggled to kind of keep up with the online lobbies and stuff, and kept crashing. But I think they were very, very, very fast, and I think they were beating professional sim racers. So I think they've kind of earned the right. But again, another one for the chat. Let's catch up on the chat on the first racing game. Paul Stanford, sorry to keep banging about the shop. No, do tell us about the shop, Paul Stanford. I'm not sure everyone knows about your shop, but I'm sure everyone will be very interested. Eater's first game was GT Sport. Same with Binny. George Gamer's Gran Turismo 3. Greg got an interesting one with Grid Online, so Greg's coming from all the arcades style. Paul Stanford's F1. Sophie is GP1 and 2. GP1 was my first game as well. Those were great games. JW Pace has gone for Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. Now, I feel like there's been quite a few Hot Pursuit games. I don't know which one exactly that was. Steve, Lotus Free Challenge 2 on Amiga. Colin McRae.
Wow, that's old school.
Isn't that the one that was one of the first games to replicate a dash, if I remember?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, that's proper old. When you say Amiga, Commodore 64, you know, Sinclair, I mean, you're talking proper old school. Wow.
Al's got Commodore 64 pole position. Detonator another GP1. So Detonator, Sophie and myself we were birthed on GP1. It's got to be an all-time great. But I think your point, Barrett, yeah, to them it's a bit like you see footballers do, you know, media stuff where they, you know, might do some skills, or some freestylers might come when they kick the ball around, do some kick-ups and, you know, step overs. To me, I think that's how the F1 drivers probably see the esports stuff. In fact, there was one driver, I don't know if he was in WEC, I don't know if he was in Formula E, he may have been in Formula E. He was contracted to do an esports race, and he pretended he was racing and actually got a mate to race, and he pretended his webcam was down. They found out and he got fired from his seat in Formula E.
Yeah.
So it kind of ties into what you were saying about not taking it seriously. In a way, I think it was almost refreshing to, maybe, I don't know, Andy, if this was something you were going to say, but it was actually refreshing to see the Formula 1 drivers free of their media people who follow them around the paddock and just having a laugh. And just, it's the first time I've ever really felt these guys are real humans, because often you see them underneath the helmet and they're alien fast. So interesting times anyway. Well, I'm going to kick this one off just while I've been talking. I think Al's sitting out, same for Steve.
Al, I can see in the distance that Al wrote, "I'm old, Baz." How old, Al?
He's already anticipating, because he said, "Don't ask, Paul."
I got a delay.
Paul Stanford said that Lewis tried his 4 sims and opted for the static ones, so maybe that means that the hydraulic ones are a bit overblown. I think Driver 61 feels the same way about that.
Again, see, that's another concept. You know, the technology now with home simulators. I mean, now we've got these full hydraulic simulators. I mean, wow. I mean, that's just taking esport to a completely different level where you're actually feeling the effects of the car.
Yeah, I think Russell just joined. Evening, Russells. Hope you've dried out as well. I think I didn't know you could get wet under a wetsuit, but actually it turns out you can get really wet under a wetsuit. I think I ripped my wetsuit actually.
I found that interesting because I come from an outdoor background. So the wetsuit keeps you warm, but doesn't keep you dry.
Well, I don't know. I think
Whereas-
a karting wetsuit is. I don't know. Maybe. Russell, what do you think about that?
It sounds like a dry suit that you've got.
Hello?
We're talking wetsuit. Andy's letting us know about wetsuits.
That if it's a wetsuit, you'll get wet underneath, but it'll keep you warm because it's tight to you. A dry suit will keep you dry, and it's
not
waterproof, like sealed.
Well, yeah, well, whatever mine was, it just filled up like a bucket. So I don't think it quite had the right effect. Yeah, I had like thermals underneath, and I was like peeling them off my body, couldn't get them off.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you, because I was watching the Club 100 this afternoon.
Yeah.
There was one race, and there was a guy wearing a very baggy outfit. It was very loose.
That's the wetsuit.
Does that have an effect with the aerodynamics?
I mean, probably, but you wouldn't notice it. We don't go fast enough to notice that sort of stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, if you really, really want to, you'd want something that obviously is really like snug to your body. But
yeah,
you know, if a baggy usually wetsuits are a bit baggy or dry, whatever they're called. Just keep you.
The bagginess probably means it's not going to ride up over your ankles, and I'd rather lose a bit of aerodynamic drag than have really wet ankles.
Yeah.
Which I had yesterday.
Yeah, I went backwards into a puddle and it backfilled the suit, so I didn't really have any choice.
Yeah, I've never,
So
Russell, I've never seen a race actually red flag before because of rain in Club 100. That was a new one for me. Sorry, Barry.
Well, after watching your video, Kirith, I mean the amount of water. I mean, how can you race in that amount of water?
It's
I mean, to be
aquaplaning.
fair, it doesn't look. Yeah, go on.
I was gonna say
and to try and find grip. Of course, you've got to go on the offline to try and find the maximum grip within the wet. But yet, you know, how much water does there need to be?
Well, I mean, to be fair, I was tempted to just get some off bits of plastic and make a rudder. I think that would have worked better. Honestly, down the straight, I don't know if Kira's bad, I don't know if you two talk to each other, but I've got a video of me fishtailing down the straight. Oh no, I put it in my Instagram stories, and I linked it on the Discord. But there's like a video where it's we're all just aquaplaning down the straight, fishtailing. You've got no sort of purchase on the road. You just got to keep wheel spinning to the end of the straight, and then you touch the brakes, but the brakes, you're not on the floor, so the brakes just knock up instantly. And you just got to drift around turn one and hope you don't hit the wall.
Yeah, that was a very weird sensation because you can hear the wheel spinning, but churning
So I
up the
take it
water.
yesterday. So I take it yesterday is one of the worst experiences within a wet race that you've ever had.
For me, that's about the same as Rye House last year, because both times I've been to Rye House, well, apart from earlier this year, I've had a complete drenched race, and they were both pretty similar. To be fair, that one was a little bit worse, but I mean, Buckmore 24 Hour was worse than that though. I don't know if you saw any pictures of that from Steve's. If you watch Steve Brown Super GT.
Oh, Super GT. Oh, yeah. What happened to him today? Because
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Start. Well, he was supposed to start in second, but apparently he didn't start. So it was like, whoa, you know, it was a bit of a strange one. But nevertheless, yeah, never mind. Anyway, on to the Roswald and Kirith.
Yeah, no, we had our fun out there, didn't we, Kieran?
Yeah, I think I avoided getting lapped in the second race, which was a bit of a bonus for me. Chalk that down as a good race.
It was really weird having a 20-minute race. It felt almost sprint-like because it was so, even though it was only 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's true.
off,
Yeah, I didn't really hang. I think people didn't hang around to make the overtake. It was a long sprint rather than a short enduro.
And of course, in that 20-minute race, I still managed to pack in a spin into a puddle and just for fun.
Yeah.
So,
go on, Barry.
no, carry on.
I was going to say I really enjoyed that second race because it was kind of sunny, and I just knew it wasn't going to get any wetter, so it was only going to get drier, only going to get faster.
And the rainbow made it a bit better, didn't it?
Yeah, and the rainbow.
The double rainbow across the sky that made it a bit more fun.
I honestly thought we weren't going to go racing, and when they red flagged it about half an hour after, I was like, well, if they red flagged that, I can't see how it's going to get better. But the pumps worked, actually.
Yeah, they did, to be fair.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, they literally pumped all the water out, so all the places where you're aquaplaning, they actually managed to pump out quite well. And it was just a wet race after that, which is, yeah, it was really nice because you had the nice lighting of like the sun, really bright sunlight, but the track was wet. The only problem was in the last 3 minutes, the last sector, the
glare.
sun
the
basically
glare.
glared straight at you, and I couldn't find the track. So I was turning in, and I had no idea where the curbs were, and I nearly hit the cones. I was so close to getting a cone penalty.
I wonder if some heavyweights made a late last-minute visor change there.
I was dark visor the whole time, and I was sort of glad by him, but I still couldn't see.
So with the because obviously I've watched it a few times, the Club 100. What's with the track limits? I mean, do they have stewards on every corner, or
so what they do is in the briefing they'll go over a particular, let's say there's a couple places where track limits are often abused or they don't like them being abused, and they'll usually have a marshal on that sort of thing who's looking at that corner. For example, for example at Rye House, not that it mattered because the wet sort of you didn't need to use the track that would normally be out of limits, but the last corner there was a marshal there keeping an eye on people, but you didn't really need to use that track. So
my next question would be, so if someone breaks the track limit, how does he notify the organisers or those sat in? Because we see from time to time, watching it on YouTube, that a notification will come up that so-and-so has a warning for track limits.
Yeah, so basically what they do for that is two things. So the marshal has a walkie-talkie, so he will then tell race control, and then from that, the race control can put up, they've got a digiboard. Yeah. And what it is, it'll basically, they can put, let's say, cones, what number you are, what number car, and that will tell the driver, and it's really easy to see it. You tend to look at it every lap. It's quite it's a really clear feature.
So it's well organised then.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's like military timing usually, especially the sprints.
So during your day, which is Saturday, because your day is different to the Sunday, how many people actually race during that one day?
At least 70.
Well, let's put it this way. So in sprint 60, in lightweights and in heavyweights, you often get about, I think the limit's like 37 drivers. Yeah. And we've recently had a lot of full grids. So that's already 70. And then there's also an event beforehand, the Enduro 60, which can have teams of, I don't know if it's more than two.
You can't.
They used to have, they used to have more. But that used to be a 2-hour race, so you could have 4 people in each team, so you could potentially have hundreds of people there just for that.
I think, was that more than the 35 car grid as well for that one, if I remember?
Yeah, I think they did tend to max out the grids on that as well. But they can have a lot of people there. It's quite a nice, it's a really nice sort of environment, to be honest, because there's a lot of people about, and it's really good.
They know exactly what they're doing. They've done it for ages, and a lot of the people have been there for ages.
I don't agree with their penalty decisions because they seem to always penalise me when I'm doing that.
Sounds very familiar to GT Sport then.
Yeah. Actually, if I was good at editing, I'd put basically on the what was it? Oh, it's last Rye House. I had a penalty for basically there was a group of about 4 or 5 cars in this sort of drying out race that were in front of me, and I caught about a second in one corner, and I was on the brakes for quite a lot of it, but I just ended up touching it, like giving a little nudge in the back, and then I drove past him because he just wasn't doing anything.
Ah, typical GT Sport.
Yeah, that would have been a slowdown or whatever for like 4 seconds or something in GT Sport probably.
Okay. Yeah,
And
with a
I
minus,
actually-
with a minus 30 DR. Yeah.
Yeah, and I got a 4-place penalty for that.
Yeah, that was harsh.
there
that
you
one.
go, see.
Yeah. That was the race where I came from. I was 20 seconds behind last place because there was a bit of an awkward formation lap where we didn't catch up, and I started last.
Uh-huh.
And I came through to 7th, I think, in the end. But yeah, got a 4-place penalty back to 11th.
So, you were obviously in in some sort of championship. So, what is the outcome of the championship? Does that progress you through to the next level?
So what it is there's not really levels. It's not like a ranked thing where if we win Sprint 60, there's another championship to go to. It's not quite like that. It's literally just its own championship.
Okay.
I think there are prizes in some sense. I don't know if it's. I think the top 5 in the championship get trophies, which I'm hoping to get one. So I'm 5th at the moment, and if the season's called off, I might get one. And then also there is. I think they used to do it. They used to give a prize of having a weekend out in like a full-blown road tax car or something, like a proper your own driver car, whatever. I don't know if they do that anymore though. I don't know what it is anymore, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that depends on the sponsor season to season.
Yeah. So, but I'd like the thing that actually the only thing that really bugs me about Club 100 is the loyalty aspect. Like, because there's a lot of people who put a lot of money into it, and there's a lot of ways you can sort of. It'd be quite easy for them to say, okay, if you're doing Sprint 60, let's say, we'll lock off 10% discount on a test session or something like that. I wish they did more of that, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. But it is a really well run event.
So, okay, so now you mentioned the cost aspect. I mean, how much does it cost you guys, per season?
Depends how many rounds you do.
Yeah, it depends how many rounds. The good thing is it 3 drop rounds, Kira, or 2? Do you know?
I think it'll be people are dropping rounds already, so and there's 2 rounds to go. So yeah, I don't know how.
Yeah, I think it's either 6 races or 3 rounds. So if you sort of get what I mean, so there's 2 races in each round.
I think it will be 3 then.
I think, yeah, and so the cost aspect. If you were to do, let's say, I think they usually do 11 races. I think we're only doing 10 this year, if off the top of my head. But usually they're about. Is it 250?
I think slightly under 250, but it's the most.
If we go average 250, so you're looking at
£2.50.
I wish.
Like 1933.
I'd be doing every event.
You're kidding? 250? No.
Yeah.
We say in Czech, Divola. Are you seriously 250 quid?
I think Sprint 60 is also the best value race you can do. Sprint
it probably is, yeah. But yeah, and so let's say you got 10 rounds, you're spending what, $2,500. But the thing is, because let's say there is a lot of it that's worth your while. So basically, you've got for a kart championship where all you have to do is turn up. It's probably the best thing you'll find. If the kart
is given, the organisation is done, etc., etc.
Yeah,
okay.
The karts are fast. They're exciting. They're also very well maintained. They're also probably the closest you'll get from like a range of karts to be like all the same pace, which is what you obviously want, because like you don't want to go in and find that you get the crap kart or whatever. But yeah, it's a bit on the pricey side, but they do put a lot into it. So I think they're getting all new chassis next year. They only recently went to these Rotax engines, and that's all been implemented.
So the money is being invested further,
I definitely think
the carts and everything else. Okay.
If you compare it to other 2-stroke you can do in the UK, but you're still going to spend a lot of
I don't
money.
think you'll find many good races.
Yeah, and if you
Now I understand why Lewis Hamilton's father had 2 jobs, etc., etc. Just
Yeah,
so
4
his
jobs.
son-
4 jobs.
yeah, because this is very 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 cheap compared to you know proper owner driver karting.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so let me give you an example. My mate bought a kart, and so even if you're just trying to do it the basic way, of course you want to get results, which is obviously, as soon as you do that, your money sort of changes. So he did a couple of races where it went from wet to dry, and if he's only got 1 set of wets, does he then go, okay, so if I use them now, what if it's raining later? And then, or maybe next time I'll buy more wets, and wets go off like every race. You can't use another wet set again. Tyres, in just tyres alone, you'll spend more than we do in Club 100 probably.
Wow.
Let alone then, if you've crashed it, chassis repairs, fuel, all the entry fees as well. And at the end of the day, if you're a cheap outfit, you might not have the performance needed to sort of win anyway. It is annoyingly expensive. It's good fun, but it's annoyingly expensive.
But you guys love to do it anyway.
Yeah, obviously. It's like even playing GT Sport. Like, I love the racing side of it. It's not really. It doesn't really matter what game it is. I'm really a big fan of racing. Like all my life, I've been looking at, watching racing, trying to find a way to do it. So you're always wanting that sort of buzz.
So here's a question for the chat. Okay, if you were able to race in a proper racing car, what would you like to race in? What's your dream racing car? Mine is a Honda the Honda NSX GR4. Oh, without doubt.
That's a good shout.
Without doubt. I mean, I don't want Formula One. Formula One to me is just fast. It's aggressive. There's a lot of thinking. You're too reliable on the car because the computer is really driving you. You're just driving the computer, etc., etc. There's so much going on. For me, racing should be simple. So for me, I mean, GR4, the GT4 in Honda NSX all day long. That's my ideal.
I think I know what I'd go almost. I wouldn't do it now, but let's say not F2, but when it was GP2 with the sort of, I don't know, like 2006 era of GP2 where they're sort of really just nice cars. All obviously that'll be one make, so sort of like spec cars. But they've got a nice amount of power. They're not too reliant on downforce. They look like a proper fun car to drive. Or I'd ride a motorbike.
I know what you mean with those, Roswell. Kind of getting to the racing, but not like too many gadgets and stuff. Just kind of pure racing. For me, I don't know. I think an open wheel car. I think realistically, it would be nice to do, F4 or something like that. Just try out one of those cars. Something that would be a little bit more accessible, where I could actually drive it a little bit. Yeah, that would be cool. What we got in the chat? Greg getting an MP1. I think Greg was saying earlier that he's got a shifter car, so Greg's got the pedigree.
I'd love to try a shifter car. That sounds so fun. I can't drive anything with a halo because I've only got one eye that works, so I'd only see the halo. I've got a small problem in that sense.
What else we got? Issa race anything, just working up to indoor karting. Greg's got a lot of cars he wants to drive. DTM as well. I don't know what DTM is doing these days, but DTM kind of like 20 years ago. I think that.
Yeah, the old DTM. I'm not sure about the new ones.
Yeah.
They seem to have lost a bit of their edge, haven't they?
Completely.
Paul Stanford's Paul's saying earlier his rig he's in now costs about £30,000. So maybe I want to drive Paul's rig. Yeah. Must be a special rig.
Have you ever tried a full motion rig?
I haven't, no.
No. They sometimes have them at Goodwood Festival of Speed,
Yeah.
and I've tried a couple of them, and it is quite interesting, let's say.
But what's it apart from when you're braking, or what's it? Because it can't sustain the feeling, right, of G-force. It's an initial.
Basically, if you think of it, so when it's tipped on its side, gravity's pulling you down. So they do it that way.
Okay.
So like, let's say if you're going around a hard left-hander, it will have it so that you're being dropped out the right side of it, sort of thing. So you just feel like you're being pushed out that way.
Yeah.
So like I've been in one where like the whole thing's sort of like tilted, like left, right, up, down, that kind of way. Like it pitches and rolls. But there used to be a nice thing here locally to me called Let's Race.
Yeah.
But Max Chilton's cut it because he wants to do more IndyCar. Bastard. But it was really good because it had basically loads of those cockpits, like, you know, where you see, like, I don't know if you've seen it, where you've got like a fake F1 cockpit and you jump in, there's a little TV on the front or something like that.
Yeah.
But they had 10 of them set up and you could race on like R Factor or something. It was quite cool.
I never heard about that actually.
It was a really good company. It's based in what was it, Hawley or Horsham? Hawley, I think. But
Yeah.
they don't do it anymore. But if you look on YouTube, you'll find what it was. But they're quite good. It used to be a really nice sort of event to do.
Harry's saying Caterham or Formula Renault, where I can really drive. Yeah.
Caterham's a good shout for like probably the lowest. Like when I went to Brands with my friend who does Sports 2000, they have a Caterham class, and there's about 50 of these little things on the track. It's ridiculous, and they do look like a bit of a handful, a bit of fun to drive.
Yeah, I think is it Westfields as well, also like the kind of you build them up and race them.
Yeah,
it's quite accessible.
Alright. I'd like to have a go at motorbike racing. Motorbike racing would be quite fun. Because it's all, you do a lot more as a rider than you do in a car. There's a bit more into it.
Do they do any kind of like Palmer Sport stuff for motorbikes where you start on a whatever CC and then you move on up in a day?
Not really, because bikes you can hurt yourself a lot more easily.
Yeah.
And there'd be a lot more insurance to deal with.
It's true.
I did like there's this place which recently closed down, which is Ron Haslam Race School, which was they send you out with an instructor and you do laps of Donington Park on a 600cc or 1000cc motorcycle.
Yeah.
And it's really good fun. It's really, really good fun. And Donington's such an epic track to do it at. But I only nearly crashed once, so I had to go out. Yeah, it was...
Evening, Nathan as well. Nathan, feel free to join us in the party if you want. Talking dream cars to drive, the bikes. I think Nathan also like to drive a ride a bike around a proper circuit.
But like the bike I've got at the moment for the road is ridiculous. It's I think it's got a better power to weight than the Veyron. So it's a bit of a handful for the road.
Yeah.
But it's all good fun.
Nathan saying he's going to do an R6.
That sounds good. Is that with is it Mackenzie School or something that does them, or is that just general you're going to do an R6 track day? Silverstone's probably the only place I can use my motorbike, get up to full speed. I don't think there's many tracks big enough. to get up to full speed safely. Because you could do any track, I guess, but for a handful.
Yeah.
I didn't know Nathan rode though. That's cool. That's another annoying thing. So he's fast on here and he rides motorbikes, just taking my slot. And he does Club 100. You probably does Club 100 better than me as well.
We'll see. I don't know what Nathan, what championship you're going to do next season. Yeah, I'm going to start this race, by the way.
I'm so out. I've done like one lap.
I've seen you stand still. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll just go free. I'll probably just cruise around and smash it. Is it racing? Is everyone on racing hearts?
It's Sony Hearts, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. How did your second race go, Curious? Because I didn't get to catch up with you. I was too busy trying to sponge myself. Well, rinse all the water.
Well, I don't think I really got a quali lap in because of yellow flags. I started quite near the back for race 1, and I made up about 10 positions in race 1, and then race 2 was going quite well, so I was getting quite moved up a few more, and then I spun it on entry to second hairpin. I just overcooked it a little bit as one of those really annoying, because I was turning into the corner and then the back end started to go and I just ended up facing the wrong way. It's a really slow motion crash, like 8 people through. But I really enjoyed the race. One of the most enjoyable races I've had this season, actually.
How do you find, like, in general, the wet now? Because I guess that's your first proper experience.
I remember I really struggled at Wilton in the wet. Wilton was not a good race for me in the wet. I just couldn't read the conditions. I remember, but also I hadn't been to that track for like 10 years. Whereas, but even in Rye, the first time in Rye, I didn't feel that bad in the wet. I did okay actually for me. So I think it's when it's I'm not very good when it's changeable when there's more time to be found. So when the track is really drying.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. Yeah, changeable is the hardest conditions for racing for sure. It's so, and it's also so risky, especially if because you can easily have a quite bad accident.
Yeah.
In changeables, especially in cars, because you can rely a lot more on the car rather than sort of have to worry about yourself. But then when you crash into something, it hurts.
Yeah, I really didn't want to have to drag my car out of a swamp. I had bad memories from Club 100 at university when it was TKMs, kind of pulling my car like miles and miles off the circuit and really struggling because they're heavy. So I do think I don't push it as much as I should, and have those wobbly moments and then be like, okay, well that's about the limit.
Well, you're better off, say, learning it the safe way and then pushing when you sort of get to grips with it.
Yeah, true.
It doesn't take much, especially when it's drying. I think that's almost the worst, because if you go offline, then there's no you can't slow down any faster, you can't grip anymore. That's it. You just got to accept you're going to hit a wall or something soon.
Yeah.
But
I don't think there were any big crashes in our races today. I think there was one in E60, but
yeah, there was 2 big crashes in E60. There's one in the morning apparently, like right at the start, where they had a 6-car pile up at turn 1 because someone brought water on. And then there was that one at the end, which you saw they got red flagged.
Yeah.
Where that guy found the rain as he turned into turn 1.
But they were lucky last time in E60 because there were a few people who joined that crash and people were out of the car, and you don't want to be in between that car and the tyre barrier.
Yeah, very true. And that's where I think that bloke was in the red flags one.
I don't know what they can do. There's no way unless they really extended the runoff and basically lost the car park.
No, that wouldn't do anything. That wouldn't do anything, because you'd
keep
end
going.
up. Well, because think of how far you slide. I don't know if you've got an experience of it, but when you
just keep going.
It's where you go so far, it's unreal. So you'd need to be where the dinosaur is by the end of it to have enough room.
The other weird thing about yesterday, I think someone said it was due to the silt, was the brakes were just so mushy.
Yeah,
and
I thought it was because they were cold.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were very bad.
But I always do the same thing on the warm-up laps. I stamp on the brakes and just see where the feeling is, because every car's a bit different. And I remember nothing happened. I thought, oh, maybe it's really wet.
Yeah, well, I did that for all the warm-up laps for the races, and I built the feeling up. So I think it was sort of temperature.
Okay.
So I kept on pumping them. Eventually, I got a bit of brakes, but then halfway through the race, they were gone again because they just got soaked.
I should have carried on. That was a new one for me.
I'm always sort of pumping the brakes, because I don't want to find out when they go.
I was thinking about the aquaplaning stuff on the straight, and on the one hand, as we said at the time, it's like, well, you're not really going that fast, and also I felt like it wasn't. You're aquaplaning on a straight in the middle of a straight, so you're probably going to be going straight and finish straight. But on the other hand, if one person goes, it could end up with like 20 carts very quickly.
Yeah,
It
because
wouldn't
no
be
one
able to
can
stop.
stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah,
see
no,
why
I
they
know
did
exactly
it.
what you mean. But yeah, no, because someone did spin on the straight, I think, before the red flag happened in our race, which is partly why they sort of stopped it.
Yeah.
I'm not really, I'm just talking, I'm not really driving.
Yeah.
I don't want to get in anyone's way, can't say thing.
So what do you think about the rest of the season then? I mean, is it Wilton, Buckmore first, then Wilton?
Yeah, it's Buckmore first. I'm pretty sure Buckmore, there's a no-go for that, unless they reschedule it, but I can't see them rescheduling events this late on.
But Wilton is pretty early December as well, so it's not...
Yeah, so that's not out of the question for sure. Sophie's gone off twice, it's no corner.
If I'd known it was the last race of the year, I probably would have...
Done it.
Yeah, just... Well, if I pick it out of the swamp, it doesn't matter, it's the last race of the year. Steve saying Blue Moon Bugatti Nets. Yeah, I think we will do Blue Moon Bugatti Nets, Steve. Sorry about... It's the first time we party chat, which we really want to do, and I think it's a really good idea. I'm not very good at reading the chat as well as doing party chat, so I'll try and get better at that.
Same. I'm trying to work on what Nathan said. I keep crashing. I'm just doing this. Wait, let me exit this.
It's like juggling lots of different balls at the same time and having to like recite the alphabet or something.
Oh, that's cool, bro. You must be on A2 license then. Yeah, mine's a Fireblade. Mine's a 07 Fireblade. It's me, Roswald. I don't know if you can hear me at all. I haven't actually checked if you can hear me. I've turned the stream down because I kept on hearing you twice. I didn't know what to do.
I think if I can hear you, everyone can hear you.
Yeah, that KTM RC390 sounds quite fun. I used to have a 500R, which is, I guess, the Honda equivalent of that. But that was quite fun as well, to be fair.
Have you done any prep for Tuesday and Thursday's races then next week? I don't even know what tracks they are.
Yeah, I just came from a lobby to join yours where we were doing the Mazdas at Laguna, but that's not even a confirmed combo, but I just thought I'd give it a go.
Yeah, I need to.
Nathan knows
I need to practice that tomorrow. Sure.
Yeah.
Is it Mazdas at Blue Moon Bay is confirmed? Or,
I'm not sure.
actually,
I don't know if any of them were confirmed. I just know. I think the end it's confirmed is Mazdas.
Yeah.
But maybe there's something else.
Because last time we raced them, I think Nathan, we were both in Lobby 1, and there's some really fast drivers in there. There's some drivers that we beat, but they weren't exactly slow. I think we raced really well as a team, so...
Oh, okay.
I think they're a good team. I think apparently their Lobby 2 isn't going to be as good, but...
Fair enough. I think I'm in Lobby 1.
Yeah, you will be in Lobby 1.
I might be in trouble.
I think Lobby 1 is all A+, so everyone's a good driver.
Yeah. Yeah, Nathan was in the lobby I was just in, and he put in a time that no one was close to. I think he's cutting corners, he's just not turning us.
Probably on the wet tyres again.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a bit too quick, annoyingly.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Who were we chatting to just now? Is that Baz?
That was Barry, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm trying to learn. When I'm doing the live streams, I read the name and I'm like, who is it? Obviously I know like Al because it's his name, and Shadow I've remembered now as Andy. But like I'm trying to remember like I've got Steve's down now, Interstellar. But the first time he came I didn't know, and I was like, oh sorry, I've forgotten what you like.
Yeah.
I didn't know the name, but I should remember now.
Wow, everyone in the top 6 is really close, and I've just massively spun off.
Actually, I can spectate. I've never spectated before because I'm usually always in it. I don't forget.
Don't bother spectating me because I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing.
Oh, that circle map's cool.
But it's going to be good to do some more like sim racing at least, or like structured team versus team and leagues and things like that. Because I'm not sure what's going to happen with FIA coming up.
Yeah, it's a really good race, that's fun.
I could be really sly and just hang around for like half a lap and then join it a lap down.
Could do.
I may do that.
I don't know how that is. It's literally a train of them.
See,
These
Nathan?
cars are a bit overkill for this, aren't they?
Yeah.
See, Nathan.
Hope you see you tomorrow, Nathan, if there's a practice lobby up. I'll give that a shot.
I'm trying my best, Steve. I'm getting there.
The key thing for us last time was quali. We were just so good at having a slipstream train. And just absolutely destroyed them in quali. And it's funny on the live broadcast because the commentator was like reeling off all their names, and they'd all done stuff in GT Sport, and he didn't really know who any of us were because we hadn't really done anything by then. And then the first quali laps were set, and we were all like a second ahead of them, and it was pretty much because we all helped each other on the quali lap.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think you can do much of that if we're doing Laguna, but if we're doing Blue Moon, then maybe.
Yeah, that was Interlagos and Maguri, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, so where do you finish in race 2, Club 100?
About 24th, I think.
24.
So my spin really cost me.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Are you getting sort of to grips with how? Because to be fair, I was learning quite a bit out there because when I went round turn 1, I was going really wide at first. But there's quite a lot of people that you could actually get quite a lot of grip at sort of middle of the track. Yeah,
I was going quite narrow and trying to set up moves into first hairpin. I think I was a little bit lucky because I had a group ahead of me who were fighting, and I was catching them ever so slightly, and it just gave me that incentive to just push it a bit more and get involved. And then finally, when I got involved, I binned it. But
you got like a 6-cart rabbit to chase.
Yeah. It's weird. The first race at Rye last couple of rounds, even though I felt quite bad, my results weren't actually that bad. So I don't know. I think maybe more people span out or something.
I don't know. I think you'll be surprised. I often find that when I don't feel great in the car, but it's still not too bad. It just depends, because the thing is, if you end up being around lots of fast guys, let's say, it's like my dad's really annoying. He tells me to get in the first car when we do practice.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but like usually that means that all the guys in the top of the championship sitting right behind me, and they all go past me straight away, and I'm like,
yeah.
You just feel like you're going backwards. But in the end, I'm not too far off, but I just don't get going as quick because I'm nowhere near as experienced as them.
Yeah, I find when Jack O'Neill goes past in the wet conditions, and I know you're like in his league, but when he goes past, it's just normally when someone goes past you faster than you, it's really helpful to see where they are and just use the grip.
Yeah,
but he's so much faster. It's like an alien language.
Yeah. Especially in the wet, because he's really got a good feel for that. You can tell just the way he drives.
I don't know what he does outside of Club 100, but he's obviously he's pretty much dominating this championship. I think he dominates sprints when he does sprints. He dominates endurance when he does the endurance. So I don't know what else he does, but he's almost like a level above in some ways in terms of what he can do just week in, week out at every track.
Yeah.
I think his brother's not bad
though,
either.
even like, yeah, as you look at Jack O'Neill, he was doing the sprints today and he did the endurance before our race as well. Like, how are you meant to compete with that amount of experience?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
by
true.
the way, my name's Brian. Brian.
Whoops.
I don't keep it a secret because I post the live timings on karting, so you'd obviously eventually find my name somewhere. But yeah. Are you looking forward to doing it again next year, Kira?
Yeah,
You're
definitely.
gonna do it again?
So my idea was this year kind of get back into it and hopefully be in the mid-pack, and I did that a bit sooner than I expected, but I didn't really kick on. In fact, my results started going back a bit as the weather got worse. So I think I definitely need to improve it, my wet weather driving, and just pushing the limits a bit more, because even pushing the limits a little bit gains you so much time in the wet. And I think my exits as well, I often end up on the exits just being a little bit sideways, and again you just lose so much time. I mean, I was finding a decent line in at the exit of Hairpin 2 yesterday, a little bit earlier than the pack ahead of me, that was like somewhere I could get on the power progressively and not have any wheel spin and get really good drive down to pylon, and actually see myself catching the group ahead who were all still, I think, taking the wider line. I'd like to do more stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. The thing is also with driving the wet is, especially with Club 100, I find it's a little bit, it's counterintuitive, I think, because there's a lot of times where you find if you actually put on the throttle, you'll turn better, or you'll get round the corner better. But of course, you're trying to not crash, and you think you're understeering off. You don't tend to go, oh, I'll put more power on.
Yeah.
Because you just think, surely you're going faster into the accident, not turn away from it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a difficult one, but that's just sort of, say, you don't get the feel instantly. I remember when I did my first rental kart race at Q Leisure, or Brighton Karting as it is now, and me and my mate, we both did it for the first time. In the dry, we were last, both of us. We were in a great battle for last. And then in the wet, actually the first wet race I did, I took dry lines and I won it.
Yeah.
I have no idea how, because the next race I tried to do the same lines, I didn't get anywhere close. But for some reason that first race I fluked to win somehow.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely something over the winter I can go down to rental tracks and just do practice sessions that are a lot cheaper and mess around. I mean, Sprint 60 is such a good championship because there's always people to race, and actually in the dry, the field spread, I think, in lightweights isn't that high. It's normally, around a second, maybe even less.
Usually, a good few, different. You've almost got the pack from first, I don't know, 4th or 5th. Then you've got the next pack, which can vary from 6th to about 15th or something.
Yeah, and then it's a big...
and then there's more packs going further down. But it's definitely the best, it's definitely, I think, the best value for money series, because you've got 2 goes at it, so if you have one bad car, you should have a good one for the next one. You start where you finish, which can be good, can be bad, so you can make up for a bad quali, or you can have one race at the front and have a really bad race and start at the back next race.
Yeah. I think that's why yesterday was, even though the results weren't as good as last time was at Rye, it felt like a good day, because I know I didn't really get a quali lap in and I just kept moving upwards, because that's the way it works. Yeah. Whereas in sprints, you could every race have a like a disaster, really. Sprints
I'm put off by sprints. I sort of wanted to do it at one point because it's the one that's televised, or which got on YouTube broadcast, and it gets all the attention. But the actual racing itself, I really don't like the idea of just battering people all the time.
Yeah, I think you'd have a lot more riding on each heat as well.
Yeah. And it's especially with these cars, they're not the best for smashing into each other all the time, which I feel like you're almost going to need to do if you do sprint racing.
I think our championship is, maybe endurance is the same, it's like the most, it's much more chilled out than sprints, it seems, in terms of...
Yeah, and you got time as well to sort of really get into it, whereas, say, sprints, if you do, I can't remember how long the sprint races are, but they're probably,
7 minutes or so, yeah.
Next race, start, finish, so quick. It's like I was speaking to Jimmy about it last time he was at a race, and I said that you should do Sprint 60, mate. So you've got, even for content, it's quite good because you've got 2 goes at it. You've got bits and bobs. And when he did it last year, he quite enjoyed Sprint 60.
Yeah.
And I think he will probably do Sprint 60 next year if he's not too busy doing. He might do some more proper car racing if COVID's not well. But yeah, no, I'm definitely looking forward to doing it again, and say hopefully going up another level.
Yeah.
Getting a bit closer to the front. Or going to heavyweights, I'm not sure, because I am at a heavyweight at the moment in a lightweight class.
Yeah, I saw the weight categories haven't changed, as like probably expected.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, for me, it's not that much more weight, and it's just simpler not having any weight and just knowing you're going to make the limit. Rather than trying to be on the line and.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, I definitely don't. I don't miss having to put ballast on. That used to be a pain because I'd always just be worried I'd do something wrong or I wouldn't have taken the right amount of ballast or.
Yeah. Whoops! I realised I wasn't full screen to that. Maybe I pressed it accidentally. But I think what we do now is 11:20. I don't know if anyone really wants to do a lot more Autopolis. I don't really. So maybe we'll head to.
It's not a very it's a very serious combo that.
Yeah. I was saying before, it feels like a fast car for that track.
Who won? Was it Greg that won?
Yeah, Greg in first. Yeah, Greg by a distance actually. I think we'll head on to Blue Moon Bay if people want to do that. So let me set that up.
Hey, you had a really good race.
Yeah, it was a very close pack all the way through there, it seemed. Oh, it's shattering, yeah. When I hung behind for a lap and then caught you all up, and it looked like... Because I'd had a few laps off, basically. It looked like it was one of those ones where it would be difficult to do 20 laps for it, for example. Oops, what am I doing here? Yeah, it is a bit of serious taste in it.
I'd not really too much of a fan of the Group 1s in this because you've got the hybrids that sort of all perform differently, and all the Group 1 cars are so weird. They all have their quirks and stuff. It's really difficult to get used to.
Yeah. I find with the hybrid ones, some of them have, when I accelerate out of low speed corners, they just go straight, and there's obviously a way to drive around that, which is to do a bit more rotation and then use that boost. But I really struggle with that. I end up going off the track a lot. I can't remember if these settings were the ones that worked. I think so, although ×4 fuel seems quite high. But yeah, it looked like a very good race at the top, so well done everyone who actually managed to do it all. I didn't.
Oh, is this Group 3 thing we did before?
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, what are we doing? Is the Bugattis?
It should be Bugatti. Easton, the safety car, maybe going to lead us out. I thought I could enforce this with horsepower settings. I need to work it out.
Is this with tyre wear and fuel and stuff?
No tyre wear, but fuel, yeah.
Okay. Headlines these days are so overdone. That there's a WTF1 post about lapped cars were released under safety car with Marshall still on track. It's like, oh, it's very, very dangerous, but they all knew where the Marshalls were going to be.
Was that today?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
It? I don't want to spoil it if you're not.
I haven't seen it, but I probably won't now, so you can spoil it.
Yeah, I won't spoil anything. But it's just some over the top stuff that's pointless.
Yeah.
don't suppose you follow or you've watched any of TRL Limitless F1 stuff.
I haven't actually.
He did a race on F1, which was he does like league racing on there, and he practices a lot and he takes it really, really seriously, and it's I don't know, he's a bit annoying sometimes to watch, but he had a glitch in his game where it disconnected him before the start, and it put him back on the thing, and he rejoined, and he rejoined on the formation lap, and he drove up to the grid spot and whatever, and he went to set off, and he went nowhere, and he checked his tyre temperatures, and they're at minus 273 degrees.
So there was no grip, basically.
Yeah. So the F1 game had just put his tyres into, which is apparently like 0 Kelvin, according to. So it's the coldest temperature on the planet. And he was just fuming. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I need to download that game actually. Paul says you didn't miss much.
I used to get all the F1 games, but I don't bother anymore. I don't like. You don't feel like you're driving them very well. They don't feel right.
Yeah, I haven't done one recently, but they did used to feel a bit like you were kind of on rails a little bit, but also quite slidey about on those rails.
Yeah.
But I haven't tried the recent ones, so.
To be fair, I think the newer ones are a bit better, but I don't know. I usually make it to about Albert Park Turn 1 on my career mode, and I give up.
Yeah. Well, I hope I got the settings right for this one. I wonder what it means for the sprint championships, where the drop rounds really count, and how they're going to work that out.
I don't know. Well, at least the good thing, actually, the way they do the time, like the results in Alpha Live, they do take all the results straight away. So like, it's always live, like it's already done.
Yeah, but if you had a true, unless you were going to hit the minimum rounds by doing Wilton and Butmore, and then you haven't hit the minimum.
Yes.
I'd have to work that out.
Yeah, if you hadn't done enough, then yeah, you might be a bit pissed.
Use too much fuel. I thought I'd save the settings. I don't think it is too much fuel, Lisa. I think this is pretty similar to what we had before. I think it was basically a 2-stop, if I remember. We really worked out the strategy in the end.
I'll always try it and just see what happens.
Yeah. Oops. Wait for Greg to come back in and kick it off.
I can't wait to see the pictures from the Rye House.
Big pun?
Can't wait to see the pictures from Rye House.
Yeah. Honestly, in the practice session, I could not see anything out of my visor. It was so fogged up, I couldn't see anything. Yeah. And then in race 1, before it got called off, the only unfogged bit was right at the bottom, so I had to lift my head up.
Yeah, like, look through the bottom. Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. I've had that before.
I'm surprised. It's the only time that my pin lock has failed me, and I remember when I put it in, I was like, oh, I'm not sure this is different. It's like a max pin lock. I thought maybe the seal's not great, but it sounds like your one had the same thing.
Yeah, I had a problem with just pure, like, because I swear there was so much like misty spray.
Yeah.
That when you were directly behind a car, you just it felt like I was looking at a cloud of fog. It was actually just like this sort of really fine spray that was just coming off.
Yeah.
Because then as soon as I got a bit of clear air, I was like, oh, okay, I can sort of see. Not much, but
really weird. Sometimes you go through and get a whole load of water, and it'd be waves on your visor. I've never had anything like that. It's like going through a car wash.
Yeah, no, it is just full spray. You're not going fast enough to sort of make it stream.
Yeah.
The only way you can sort of make it stream without wiping it, because you don't really want to wipe it if you can help it, because I think you sort of then start
smearing
causing more problems. But it's if you turn your head to the side and then the water runs off the side.
Okay.
But it's still quite tricky.
Yeah, the only other wet race I've had like that, I remember I was at Clay Pigeon at university and it really rained, and we were at university, so I think we were using their suits. We didn't have any wetsuits, and we'd go out, get absolutely soaked, sit in the seat that was just like full of water, go back to our cars, put the heating on, and try not to get like pneumonia literally because it was so wet. And it's had like the most miserable journey back where we were just all shivering, just soaked through. At least I wasn't really soaked through to the bone, but I was surprised that under the wetsuit I was still wet. I just kind of assumed I wouldn't be because I thought it was waterproof.
Yeah, okay.
There was one guy in the briefing who didn't have a wetsuit, and I wonder how he got on in the end.
Oh yeah, there wasn't there? I remember.
Even JV was a bit like,
Yeah,
you might struggle,
you're
mate.
screwed. To be fair, it's not that bad. It's just like, especially after waiting for like if he was doing the first light weights as well, waiting after being soggy for so long, yeah, you'd feel that.
Yeah. It's lucky I could go back to the car and just put stuff on the heating and
Yeah, exactly.
wear gloves. We'll wait for Greg to... I don't know how long it's going to be, Greg. Sophie's saying it's same as last time, 3 laps at a full tilt. Whoops. So I guess, yeah, we'll try and stretch it as much as possible.
You're painting?
I think he's painting his car.
Okay.
Oops, so I didn't have my radar on there. I'm surprised they don't, well maybe I'm not surprised, but the drainage really can't be good at that track, but maybe they don't. It's so close to that river or canal.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what they can do about it, but like Buckmore Park, you said it was really wet for the 24 hours, but
Yeah.
I presume it drains a bit better there. I know the water can't, the greasiness hangs there for a long time, but...
Well, yeah, the thing with Buckmore is you've got a bit of elevation, so you can sort of, the hills sort of drain it naturally. But like, we did get a bit of flooding at Buckmore, but nothing like Right House. Right House is quite flat.
Yeah.
I think what they need to do with Rye is almost put a bit of camber into the road, because the track's too flat.
Yeah.
So like, you know where on the grid it was all flooded? It was like flooded as if there was 2 grooves on either side of the circuit.
Oops.
So I think they almost need to, you know, like when they have like a crown in the road,
Yeah.
they need that so the water just runs off into the grass and make it even more of a swamp, but just, that's what they got to do really.
Yeah, it was quite visible on the straight that the middle bit was where all the aquaplaning was. But then you didn't want to be too much on the outside because that's bad news if it's really wet, and you don't want to be too much on the inside because it compromises speed a lot. Weird one.
I mean, in the race it's not too bad because you just follow the car in front, because they would have cleared half the water for you. So you just follow their wheel tracks and you'll probably go faster than them.
Yeah, I don't know, when it was really wet, I don't know, every time I went over start finish line I just had got a bit of a wobble, and then that weird sensation of nothing, and then back on the wobble and then not on my way. Definitely interesting.
Is everyone in now, or is it still, are we waiting for someone?
Yeah, sorry about that wait everyone. Wait, I can't remember if this is Ari in finished driver, so jump in your Bugatti and then we'll crack on. If you've got a Bugatti, Ari, if not then we'll crack on with this one. It's quite a short race actually.
It's the Bugatti VGT Group X, is it?
Group X, yeah.
Is it? Did we have boost on for this, or do we don't have boost?
No boost.
No.
It's all about a slip, really, if I remember. Fuel saving. Oh, it's really been enjoyable tonight. Much cleaner racing with friends only lobby. Yes, probably has been. in a way, a little bit of a shame that I don't know, the daily race ecom is a bit of a strange one. I'm not sure I'll be doing much of it this week.
What was race B? Was it Laguna?
Yeah, race B's Laguna in Group 4, which will be a fun race actually. Be a fun one to time trial.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna see you haven't got the car, so we're just gonna crack on. Yes, course of action.
It won't be long before you can join the next race anyway, because it's only 30 seconds laps or whatever, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, won't be a long race. And you don't want to drive these twitchy death machines anyway.
When the flap comes up at like the least opportune moment.
Yeah. Yeah, they're an interesting handling car. Oh, I don't want to be on the throttle. Burning.
Oh yeah, whoops! Don't worry, I was doing the same.
Exactly.
It's pure instinct. How much have you lost? I've only lost 2%, I guess. Well, that comes down to 2% a lot.
Mine's only on 1%.
I know.
If you go out and buy it now, Harry, while we're racing, is the room reservation for that?
Definitely. Well, Greg's pulling over.
Is he going for the ultimate strat if fuel's over?
Yeah, I'm not. It's going to be a bold one. Oops.
It's so annoying you can't have radar and fuel.
I guess you could look at the fuel gauge, right? And
Yeah, but you can't adjust the modes.
that's true, yeah. Oh no, I've really squeezed someone out there. If you're watching that on stream, that wasn't the best corner of my life. Thanks, Greg. Greg?
Oh. You just slowed down.
It feels like there's a lot more moments than when we finished last time. I forgot how difficult these cars are actually.
I'm just going in the highest gear possible. And the least amount of power, so just sticking this in through.
I think they've done quite well, Clubby Hunt, to actually run a season, considering that everything happened pretty much when the whole season normally runs.
Yeah, very true. It's carded from a bank account, but it's just about done it.
Yeah.
Every week you're sort of looking at it going, oh god, I'd have to pay you right now.
They just take it out. They don't even ask.
It's quite a... no. I wouldn't mind not having the last two just to save a bit of money, to be honest.
I wasn't down for Wilson anyway. I thought Wilson was a bit late in the year and
okay.
I'd already been there.
If Wilson stays, are you going to change your Buckmore to Wilson? You reckon?
Probably yes, because I was down for Buckmore.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, I can't really see it.
Yeah, there's too much chance of it being it.
Especially because it's essentially the last race for them. If there were a few more, then I think it'd be more likely.
Yeah, it'd be a shame if that was the last one. Can't be doing much about it.
Oh wow, I ran out of fuel, I completely forgot. No! Oh, I got to reverse to the pits. I don't have any fuel. That's really not going very well. Thanks, Harry. We'll change that next time. I need to kind of listen back and see.
Yes, mic could be a little higher.
Maybe if you can move it closer. I think these cars might be quite loud as well, which is part of the problem.
Right, now. I'll see if I can sort the mic down a bit. I do not change tyres because I did that every single time last time. Can you tell me if my voice is changing when I'm doing this?
I think it got a little bit louder as you started saying the sentence.
Am I louder now or now?
First one maybe, quite similar.
Now? There's some like dials on the side of my headset, but I don't know what they do. I think they're meant to be...
It feels louder than it was before though. Oops.
Okay.
Let us know in the chat.
I'm pretty sure I got the box for it somewhere. Oh well. Okay. My footage actually came out surprisingly clear from my house.
That's good.
You can see pretty much all. The only thing you can't really see is what's happening. Like, you can't get a feeling of how much you're sliding and how much it's chaos and stuff.
Yeah, you can see that when you can see your hands, because you can see the counts doing and stuff.
But yeah, it's like the whole first turn, I'm pretty much drifting it, but it doesn't really look anywhere near as fun as it does when I look at the footage back. Even the spins and crashes don't really look that impressive.
I don't know if I told you at Wilton, but on the last lap my camera fell off and was hanging by the cord. I never really thought much about it.
Yeah.
But when
I think I remember you mentioning it.
When I got to the track yesterday, I took out my camera and one of the prongs of the mount had snapped off.
Oh dear.
Which is quite interesting because, well, that's not a good failure. I could expect other things, but for that to snap off.
Yeah.
I think it must have been a cheap...
So is that the prong as in the bit that you pinch to put in the mount?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an odd thing to fail. Because it's not really a stress point, I would have thought.
Still a bit low, Russell, it seems. I can up the party to the game sound when I finish this race. I'm going to get ultimate strat here.
Yeah, we'll sort it out. I am quite a mumbling, low-voiced character anyway, so probably just the nature of me. Oh, I think Dotonator's just baited me into having a failed strategy now. He went so quick, I thought I'd go with him, but then I think I've now gone too fast, I can't make the fuel back up.
I'm on a very, very alternative strategy now.
I've got a decent lead though, so I might be able to back off it. Sure. .5 laps left, and I've got I've got 3 laps to go. Damn it!
Lap 11-12 incident, apparently. Al's reporting. Don't know what that was, Al. I think Al's stewarding.
Okay. I did just nail the wall, but I don't remember hitting it. That was all myself. Eat the mic. I can't even bend it. It's so Stare and you stare. Oh, Steve. Yeah. Steve's venture on this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's venture and he's interstellar. Okay. Or is that not the same thing?
Yeah, it is. You need to get a crib sheet.
Yeah. I have a register on the panel next to me. So just go, right, okay, names it.
Don't change them.
Yeah, until everyone decides to use their 1 free PSN change.
Right, I just ran out of fuel going over the start-finish line for the penultimate lap. So
You should have waited. I was about to lap you.
Oh really?
I've just finished.
Oh yeah. Now I may lose my penultimate position. That was a very poor strategic move on my part.
Oh no,
yeah, fine.
This is behind me. He's already finished.
I do think about that in Club 100 sometimes because I often am. Well, in the wet, I nearly always am lapped. So I wonder if there's a benefit to I'm not losing any more positions if I'm going to lose it.
But either way, you're always going to benefit from going faster.
Is there no situation where
there's not often a benefit to going, oh no, I can see what you mean though, but you have to be very
okay. Let's say someone ahead
9,000% IQ.
Let's say someone ahead of me who I know is faster than me spins, and I overtake them.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're catching me.
Yeah. If they don't catch, if you give them one less lap to catch.
Yeah. Then I see Jack O'Neill is in between us.
Yeah. If you can judge that during the race, I'd be very impressed. Because I can barely work out where I am after the races.
So there's a potential incident there. I think we'll do one more race. I wasn't very good in that race on the strategy or actually the race itself. Greg's calling it a race incident. Don't need to run into me, but I went into yellow curb and rebound back. One of those pinball physics. Well, if we want to do another one, we could do one more of those. I think that's all I can do this evening. I know a few people that had to be their last race. Put in here. Beanie's off. I think Sophie's off as well.
Do you not have to get up early, Kira? They always stream so late.
I actually don't sleep a lot.
No.
Never have done. Just I think.
I can believe you when you go to like, half midnight, 1 o'clock or so.
If I had to,
what do you do?
If I had to sleep a lot, it wouldn't work. But
yeah,
maybe later.
I had a bit of a moment and had some. Yeah, night Issa.
Steve's in for one more. I feel like I have some unfinished business because I didn't do very well.
Yeah, you got to pay attention to fuel.
Yeah, I had the radar on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem, especially if you're in a battle.
Yeah.
You just got to either stick with a fuel mix and just sort of have a go, or...
See you, Issa. See you, Sophie. I think Sophie was doing very well today in the races. Bodes well for the weekend. So wait for Ari to get into his Bugatti and then we'll crack on.
Yep, see you, Sophie. He's gone.
Don't just play till whenever. Just end laps of Blue Moon Bay. No infield, just the main course.
I mean, I'd play till whenever, but I feel like I'd be annoying my family. Especially when I'm talking, I probably talk much louder than I realise.
Yeah.
Alright, we'll see you next stream. Yep, see you, Sophie. Have a good one.
Greg's staying for a couple. Okay, so we've got Greg, we've got Steve, Ruz, myself, Detonator, Paul. Al's going to marshal again. Keep a close eye on instance. Maybe there'll be none. I'm just waiting for Ari to jump in the Bugatti.
Al's trying to find the imposters in the race.
That's an interesting concept actually. If we just went around the oval and one person randomly chosen had to punt drivers off but couldn't be seen.
That would be very hard to sort. I can sort of see how some sort of game like that would work, but I don't think that would be it, because I think it'd be pretty obvious when you see someone in front of you just get T-boned.
Yeah, but you'd have to make it sound like you have to make it look like you got taken out.
Yeah. The problem is you can see too much.
Yeah.
Because you can see like the whole, like you almost need to do it on an actual racetrack where there's lots of corners, because you don't see everyone all the time. I bet there is a way you can play sort of something like that in a racing game.
Yeah, we do actually manage to do quite a lot in GT Sport, considering there's no... Oh right, Ari's in. Okay. Because there's not a lot of settings you can play with, whereas I know other games have lots and lots of settings and crazy modes, but actually,
yeah,
ironically, people don't play them. Yeah.
Yeah, the best game mode I've played on a racing game is Outbreak on Dirt 3. That was an amazing.
Is that the
game
one where you have to escape the other ones around like?
Yeah, so what one car is like a zombie or whatever you call it, like it goes green,
yeah,
and it has to infect all the rest of it. It's such a good game.
I think I did that one around as like a power plant map.
Yeah,
you get like in and out of the building.
What was it called? Battersea Station.
Yeah.
I think it was called. That was such a good game.
Probably that'll come back in Dirt 5, hopefully, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that would be really nice.
Well, I'm immediately going down gears.
Mode 6. I put it straight into mode 6.
That's aggressive, so I'll go 4.
I shouldn't be setting my strategy because everyone can hear it.
I want to stay in the slip. Night Binny. Good to race you as always. Bit of a different street tonight, but it's very cool to bike chat. Want to do it for a long time. Oh god, sideways hit.
I bet that Finnish bloke at the front. Does he know about? He didn't do the race lesson, did he?
He didn't do it, but he's been watching, so
Okay.
I suspect he's not going
looks
helpful.
like going for it.
But I remember last time we did this, if you weren't in a slipstream, you weren't really anywhere, so...
Yeah. Oh, good stuff.
Nice little train up here.
I'm just sitting at the back saving all the fuel. Rolling through corners.
Ooh. Okay, that's not good. Sorry, didn't see that.
Are we yellow team?
I don't think it's really team. I think it's just...
I know, but as in like, right now we've got 3 yellows at the back. If we weren't doing a good job. Typical.
Ooh, wow. Side to side there.
Actually, do you know, the team games would be quite a lot more fun if you can talk to them. Instead of screaming at a YouTube screen and going, just bump me. Trying to type and drive on the chat.
I think it would escalate a lot more quickly. Because you wouldn't wait to the end of the race, it would be happening. I think that we're fuel saving too much, maybe. These are slow laps, aren't they?
How many laps does it say you've got left?
3.
I've got 4. I've got 40% left.
I just jumped back in the
4
train.
out of 6 stream there, you might put that SlipStream. I think on power mode 4 and just swapping between gears is